who's never had it, it'd just be like a nice.
It'd be very interesting to see watch his face because it's a hard liquor. I mean, when I started drinking hard liquors, it was 7 and 7 was my quote hard liquor mixed drink.
My dad gave me a lot of 7 and 7 in college.
My dad gave me a shot of something when I was 10.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to You Got Me Monologuing. We're talking booze with my 18-year-old son over here, trying to convince him to try and try some.
When I
jail.
turn 21, we're going to recreate that bit from when I was 2 and I just chugged an entire beer.
Yeah, but it wasn't real. It was a Corona, so it's not like
that's water.
Yeah. Very little alcohol.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So, welcome to You Got Me Monologuing. I'm Tony.
I'm Pasquale occasionally.
I'm Joey.
I'm Grognard Todd.
Occasionally?
Right. Did you forget who you were?
Occasionally.
I forgot what order I started. I'm like,
well, because
that's Pasquale. Right.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, I'm Tony. That's that's not Pasquale.
We've been in this. It was the same order.
It was the same order last week, and I got the cameras set up.
We did Tom Hanks big.
It's fine.
And I kind of moved everything around so that now we're all in different positions on the screen. So now when I look at you, I'm looking at you on the screen.
Let's see.
Pasquale's right across from me, right?
When I look at you, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, look at that.
Very Brady Bunch of you.
Right?
Very Brady Bunch of you. Joey, have you ever seen the Brady Bunch?
No.
Do you know what the Brady Bunch is?
Marsha.
Okay, the
intro of the
third episode of WandaVision was very loosely based on the Brady Bunch, except they didn't have the 6 kids yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
There's a man named Brady.
So the whole point is that we've got the square up of the 4 of us, and when we look at that person, you're actually looking at that person on the screen. And in the beginning of the Brady Bunch TV show, there were 8. How many? 9,
8.
6, 12.
There were 9 people, 6 kids.
Alice
6
was in the
kids.
middle.
And at the beginning of the show, they would run the cheesy music, the song, and they would all look at each other the whole time,
right?
Like they could see that. So they're obviously just looking at a screen, like this was.
They probably just sat each of them in the screen. So they told they told floor attendants on top, middle, bottom.
Right. With that being said, what's up, Todd?
Pasquale, when you're talking to me, you're looking up, and I need to look down at you. Hey.
I saw Pasquale's screen on bottom corner.
I was going to make a Hollywood Squares reference.
If you look up, I can't even figure it out.
He looks up, you look down when you're talking to him.
Hi.
And now when you talk to Pasquale,
it's like I'm looking at my junk or something. I don't know. Hi, how are you down there?
No, when you're talking to Pasquale, you got to look at my junk.
And on that note, see ya, folks.
I'm glad I only have to look up.
Not again. I'm tired of looking at your junk, Tony.
It's been a couple of weeks since we got back from Gen Con, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. Do you think we have any viewers left?
Nope.
We got Abbott and Costello is watching us. That is so appropriate.
They've all checked out, yeah.
User Abbott Costello.
Hello.
I dig that. That is appropriate for the idiocy that's happening here tonight.
Right, I agree.
So how was everybody's week?
Who's on first?
Oh, gosh.
Well, I mean, Microsoft was messing with me earlier today, and it made me delete the 2 paragraphs of an essay I was working on.
Oh, that's fun.
Microsoft.
Yeah, and I'm actually doing a compare and contrast of the KOTOR games, which basically KOTOR 2 is better, but I like KOTOR 1 more.
Maybe it was Microsoft telling you to find a new topic.
Hey. When I took those classes, then I got to write about whatever. I took the philosophy of Star Trek, for the love of Christ, and it combined English Comp 1 with Intro to Philosophy. Absolutely. And what you would do is we would go, you'd read about you'd read about Kant, and then you would watch.
That's Kant with an A, folks.
Yes, and a K. Yes, Immanuel Kant.
Perhaps more importantly.
And then we would go and we would watch a Star Trek The Next Generation episode that related to it, and then we'd write a paper about it, and the paper got 2 grades. It got the philosophy grade, and it got the English Comp 2 grade, so it was all in one.
But which class is this one for?
English, but also to add on to that, for the last essay I did...
He is so excited sounding, isn't he?
I can tell, yes.
I'm glad we got to do whatever we want, because for the first essay I did, it was a narrative essay. Everyone else did theirs on, things that happened in their life. I did mine as a superhero story set in the year 2090, and it followed a retired speedster superhero teaming up with a PI to recover his stolen Olympic
He's
gold
your
medals,
son.
Yeah.
and my teacher fucking loved it.
And what was the grade?
Actually, it was pretty good. Like, I got all 200 points.
72.
Oh, you got 200 points.
Out of 200
I know of this assignment because my daughter has the same assignment, and she didn't do
A
coder.
superhero?
She didn't do coder though. Weird enough, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was like the only one in my class who actually...
Simmer down. You're yelling
I was
into
the
the
only one in
mic.
my class who actually did something creative writing, like, instead of personal or whatever.
Sure, and that's cool. I dig that, and I still remember I did some essays when I was in school for let's see, my sociology class, which was the class that I hated the most. Not only was it the mistake to take the 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday
Yes,
class.
never do the 8 a.m. class.
The second
Silly
mistake.
boy.
The teacher was awful though, because the teacher bought the PowerPoint that went along with the textbook, so she would walk into class. Well, first of all, she was from China. You know how I know this? Because she told us 13
single
times
time?
a class
Right.
about how she was from China.
Yeah.
And then she would walk into the class, turn on the overhead projector, turn her back to the class, and read off of a PowerPoint. So, and that was her teaching. So my sister hated me for this class because we took it at the same time, and I sat there like this. This was, and I chicken scratch half a page of notes. My sister, on the other hand, is very tactile, so she is writing like 8 pages of detailed notes, and I got the same A she got. She hated me for it.
Right.
But my final paper in that class was women in the military, make them equal or get them equal or get them out. And the women did not appreciate the title, but when I explained it, I'm like, hey, everybody should be treated the same. I don't care what your sex is. You can do the job, you can do the job. If you can't, bounce. That was all.
Ding ding.
That's all.
I just wanted to say in the immortal words of Monty Python, Immanuel Kant was a real pissant who was very rarely stable. The end.
That's it.
Well, there's a lot more to the song, but
Yes.
that's the first line, so it struck me.
What is that from?
The Monty Python philosopher song.
There once was a man that went in Nantucket.
No. Immanuel Kant was a real pissant who was very rarely stable. Heidegger was a boozy beggar who could think you under the table.
Nice.
David Hume could outconsume Friedrich Hegel. And Wittgenstein was a berry swine who was just as schlossed as Schlegel.
Don't know what that means.
Anywho. But yeah.
Let's see. So Joey had school. Got it.
Right.
Pasquale, anything this week?
Oh,
Sadly, no.
Your time is over. You've passed the torch.
We'll come back to you.
I'm starting to paint my Armada stuff with an airbrush, which is
Ooh, that's exciting.
That is.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd?
I had so much going on this past week. So much. I went to my buddy Ryan Croson's concert show.
Right.
We'll call it a show.
Sure.
At a bar, 10 blocks west of Wrigley Field, North Chicago.
North Side.
That was awesome. My ears are still ringing from that show because it was a bar smaller than this room.
And they had it cranked up to 11.
And it was doom metal.
Right?
Yeah. Doom metal. Yeah.
That was a week ago and your ears are still ringing?
Oh, wow. 3 days later they were. And then so that was fun. And then on whatever day it was, Saturday night, we went to go see my buddy Barry's band. Well, it's not his band, but he's in the band called McKenna, which is a new kind of 80s style pop rock band.
Sure.
And they opened for a band called Last in Line, which features two of the surviving members of the original Ronnie James Dio band that recorded the album Holy Diver together.
Holy Diver!
Vivian Campbell and Vinny Appice, whatever you want to say.
A piece. It's a piece.
Piece.
How you doing?
So I know who Ronnie James Dio is.
Yeah,
but is any relation to the band Dio?
Yes, it's his band.
It's his band.
Okay, that was
right.
So
because he started off in Rainbow.
Yes.
Then he became the singer
the Rainbow,
for
which I know from Iron Eagle soundtrack.
And then he moved into he took over for Ozzy when Ozzy left.
So actually,
Sabbath.
he started in Elf.
Oh,
The
I
band
did
named
not know
Elf.
Elf.
Not
Yes.
to be confused with the Will Ferrell
And
Christmas movie.
then Rainbow, and then did a stint with Black Sabbath,
And then Dio.
and then moved out of Black Sabbath and did Dio, and then went back and did after way after that, he toured with the guys from the original guys from Black Sabbath.
Yeah, he did that a couple of
Heaven
times.
And Hell.
Yeah,
and they did a couple albums together.
Right,
as Heaven and Hell.
I remember that.
But they were
not as Sabbath.
Yep.
And then when Ozfest started, he would tour with them periodically and sing with Sabbath on Ozfest. It's like, oh, we'll have some Dio, we'll have some Ozzy, and we'll have a good time. And it was fantastic.
So this band that was headlining is called Last in Line, which is one of the very famous Dio songs. And so basically, and they've put out 2 of their own albums, which is all very kind of Dio and Black Sabbath inspired music. And it's actually really good if you dig that era of music. Mm-hmm. And the singer, it's like Vivian Campbell and PJ, and they have another bass player, I can't remember his name. And then the singer, John Freeman, I think, is like, he's probably 20 to 30 years their junior, but it's still, got a little bit of gray on the corners. He's an amazing, amazing vocalist. He screams like any 80s, Rob Halford from Judas Priest, and just absolutely lets it loose, man. And he was an unbelievable vocalist. So, and that was at the Arcada in St. Charles. So that show was way quieter compared to the bar that was this big with guys with giant amps blowing your ears out for an hour and a half playing doom metal, right? But that was what I did this week. It was went to 2 shows, which is great because it's been 2 years since I've seen a show at the Arcada. So
also.
So never mind what Todd had to say. Listen to what I had to say.
Kodor. I had quite possibly.
I'm waiting for that email.
Listen, I have had quite possibly one of the weirdest customer interactions I've ever had this past Thursday.
Was it Ronnie James Dio?
No,
if it was, that'd be something because he'd be a corporate.
No, it was just this woman. She was coming through the line with her kid, and it started off normal. Like, I had my graduation mask on, so she was like, "Hey, where'd you graduate from?" And that was the small thing. And then a minute later, she, out of nowhere, just asks, "Do you know where we go when we die?"
What?
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you look at her and you go, "Holy diver, been down too long in the midnight sea.
Yeah.
What's becoming of me?"
She went on this big, sort of tangent on, with big religious tangent about, how scientists have studied God and, there's this creator, you can't, and then...
I'm going to give you one piece of advice, and it comes from Ronnie James Dio. Gotta get away. Get away.
Dude, I couldn't. I had to do my job.
So after you got done ringing up her pickles and tampons, did she move out, or was that it?
Yeah, she left, but it was my God, that is...
Maybe her goal in life is to just hit random people with philosophical ideas, and she'll get.
She didn't even try to plug her church or whatever.
That's when you look at her and you go, they say that people who talk to themselves are crazy. I think it's what you have to say to yourself that's important.
Right. Well, answers. Right.
When you go, where did I put my keys is okay, but if I am Satan's plaything, then we might have an issue. You just hit them with where it hurts and make them go. Okay,
I'm out.
She wasn't even go to church. She was just look it up, and then she left, and I was just like, huh? Yeah.
You'll meet those crazies when you're dealing with the public.
What's the flyer that you would get by people? They always hand you the flyer. Who was the guy that did the cartoons?
Oh yeah, Gary Larson.
Yeah,
Gary Larson, the Far Side?
No. The guy that did the religious.
Yeah.
D&D is the devil.
Right. I remember that.
Chick something.
Yeah.
A few people.
You know what I'm saying?
I know
there was
exactly
a guy
what
at
you're talking
Northern in the common areas, right?
Yeah,
by home student
there's a guy at every university. Who does
right.
That. That's
it's probably the same guy.
It's a shtick, right? The university pays those guys to come out and do that.
Well, and when I was at Northern, I was an art major, so I was with every weirdo, in there, and the teachers talking about we're going to go do some guerrilla protesting this weekend. You should come out and join us. I'm like, absolutely not.
No, thank you.
No.
Yeah, anthropology department, so we're very adjacent to all that stuff.
Right.
So we had a lot of that going, too.
But it was one of those things where I'm like, two kids from my class got arrested because they were taking posters and they were putting them all over the chancellor's or the president's house.
They got an A, right?
I'm like,
They
oh my-
did get an A. That's all that matters.
I'm like, are you stupid? I'm
They were in
like,
jail, but they got an A.
You know what? At least they weren't just ambushing random cashiers who were trying their best.
yeah, they were. That's exactly what. That's
no.
that's the whole point of guerrilla protesting is they ambush you in nowhere. They hit you with art. They use shitty art from shitty artists who think that they are saying something important, but really they're just shitty.
It's funny.
Like people who paint on stream on Monday nights.
At least I know I'm shitty. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to say something. I'm not trying to say something important. I'm going. This is pretty.
Clearly, you're trying to say that this army is superior to another army.
No, I'm trying to say it's pretty. That's all I want. I want it to be pretty. That's
Clearly
all
the
I want.
Communist Manifesto of the Tao trying to take over the universe and make everyone
yes.
equal is your political bend, Tony, and I would like to
I like
protest that
that.
right now.
Okay, go right ahead. You're welcome to.
And your Space Wolf
Yes. Keep
violent
going.
agenda I have is problematic.
I'm
I think we
okay
need
with
to
that.
raise this up a little bit so I can see Todd later. No, that's
Oh.
fine. The
I see what you. Well, like Joey's just like a pair of glasses and a mouth
That's fine.
peeking out from underneath it to me.
I'm
Hey,
pretty
that
sure,
was- that should be his
I'm pretty sure
caricature.
that's all I am.
that's his character.
You're a mouth. That's for damn sure.
Oh, are you guys fans of Kiss at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
So apparently, this
Seen
one
him
guy
3
that a podcast that was to do like Star Wars
Me
guy.
too.
He had the opportunity to ask Kiss. Like he actually asked Gene and Paul. I'll send you guys the link like on Messenger and stuff because I don't want to really cover this.
No, that's fine.
But he was asking about cancel culture and Gina Carano.
Nice.
And the answer was actually pretty interesting.
I was going to say I could imagine what
Paul would say.
Paul. Well, I can imagine what both of them would say. But sometimes Gene can be very.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, but he can be worldly about some things, but he can also be very predictable.
Right,
Because
right.
he's also an older guy, right?
He's an older guy, but he's all
And
about
he's not,
money.
and he's an immigrant, so he
Yeah.
has some
Yes.
interesting opinions about things.
Right. So go ahead. What were you saying about it?
Oh, I want you guys. We can come back and talk about it next week. It
Okay.
was just my segue from Dio.
And that's fine.
That's homework.
And that reminds me of one of my favorite interviews of all time was with Ron the Hedgehog Jeremy. Have I ever told you this?
Gosh.
Who's now in prison
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah.
for guess what?
Yeah.
Sexual assault.
big
That's hard to
surprise.
believe,
Right.
Apparently, people do say no to him.
Yeah, right. I stumbled across a radio interview with him. He was on. It might have been like Man Cow 20 years ago, right? And he's like, it's like, well, how do you think you stack up against, let's say Gene Simmons?
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know. He goes, well, Gene Simmons says the number of women I've been with is like a Kmart dress, $39.95.
Nice.
Jeremy pauses for a moment. He goes, well, the difference is that Gene Simmons has been with 4,000 women who look like Shannon Tweed.
Yeah, and then he goes home to Shannon Tweed.
Right.
And I've been with
right.
and I've been with 4,000 women who look like Gene Simmons.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
Done.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I'm like, that
Right.
is the that you cannot top that ever. Anyway, so from Dio to porn stars to Kiss. Oh, speaking of Dio,
Yes.
Killswitch Engage actually does a really amazing cover of Holy Diver, and I didn't realize they had
Yeah.
it recorded.
I have to go into his catalog
Until
because
I saw
I
it.
literally the way I know about hair bands is movie soundtracks.
So don't call Dio is one of those.
I know he's a great guitarist.
Right. He definititely bled it. No, Dio is not a guitarist.
He's the
Oh, was it?
guitarist
vocalist.
is a
He's a vocal-
singer.
okay.
Yeah. So Dio bled into the hair band era.
Right.
But Dio has never been a hair band.
Ah,
Right.
gotcha.
It's kind of, and the only thing I would say is some of the hair bands probably were inspired by his vocals.
And right, that's very fair because he's been around a lot longer.
Well,
than most
but
of those hair bands have.
I also consider Kiss and Van Halen to be the progenitors of the hair band movement.
Absolutely, yeah.
They were the prototypes, and you add Led Zeppelin in there because those are the three bands that all those guys in the '80s wanted to
Right.
be.
Twisted Sister hair.
Oh, absolutely, hair.
And if you look at the
That doesn't
history
mean
of some
it's
of those-
bad.
and they Twisted Sister reinvented itself multiple times. Well, I
Right.
shouldn't say multiple times. It reinvented itself one time. Twisted Sister was the same band for 8 or 10 years.
Right.
And then the hair band era occurred, and then they became a hair band.
And then they came back out of it, because remember, D.
Right.
Snyder had that point where he wanted to disassociate,
Right.
So he filed all of his teeth into points,
Right.
Oh, why?
Yeah.
so that he could, what was it? It was Stay Hungry, and then what was the one that came right after that?
Just like that one tribute from Hunger Games Catching Fire.
It
Yes,
was
that's
something
exactly
about
it.
love.
Come out and play.
Hot Love.
No,
Hot Love.
it's-
Love is for
was an
Suckers?
album.
Love is for Suckers.
Love
That's
is
the
for
one.
Suckers.
When they toured with for Love is for Suckers,
Hot Love was the song, I think.
he went with the denim and t-shirt,
Right.
and he was done with. They were done with the makeup by that point. They kind of did it for that
denim
one.
and topless.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
That's 2016.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of the whole
He's
thing.
still singing. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you watch the PMRC movie from VH1 from like 20 years ago, where he plays himself, is so much fun to watch, because he's the guy. He's like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I play rock and roll,
Yeah.
and I go home to my wife and my children.
He's like Ted Nugent in that. He's been pretty much straight edge his entire life.
Yep.
And Ted Nugent will say he's had a beer in in a half his entire life.
Which is crazy.
Isn't
to
that
me.
crazy?
Wasn't
Yeah.
she still make a song called Wango Tango?
Right, and that's kind of the thing. Like he watched everybody else get boozed up and drugged up and effed up all the time, and everyone in his band and everybody that he toured with and everybody that watched him was like, this is stupid. Like, why would I do any of this stuff?
Right.
Wasn't he also in Cobra Kai?
Who?
D.
D.
Or
Snyder?
Ted Nugent.
Oh yeah,
Snyder.
yeah. He took him to see D. Snyder in concert. That's,
that's
right.
funny.
Yeah. Have you not watched Cobra Kai yet?
No.
Oh
That was a great
God,
bonding moment for those two.
you really should.
I watched the first episode, and Stacey and I are kind of like, meh.
No,
it gets
it is
better,
so.
man. It gets so much
It is
better.
so-
Everybody says. I
It's
know.
so full of nostalgia. I mean, it
Well,
started
that's the
off.
thing. It was
I
a
don't
little
think-
too. It was a little too nostalgia the first time. I'm like, all right.
It actually
yeah.
puts a lot of, like, the thing that I love about it is it makes the characters more well-rounded.
Yeah.
Like, you think they're going to overcorrect, right? That it's all Johnny Lawrence this way and Johnny LaRusso the other way, but I don't want to spoil it, but, like,
Danny
both
LaRusso.
characters actually become more 3D.
Right.
Which the
Yeah.
movies never did.
Right. Of course.
Like, that was the whole point. With,
No, of
like,
course,
really-
right.
One of my favorite scenes is where you find out where basically it's like, Danny, you were the one. Daniel-san was the one who came and took Johnny's girlfriend
Right.
and fucked with Johnny's wife.
Right.
It's like, you're kind of the bad
You're
guy,
kind
dude.
of a dick here.
And it's like, it's like, yeah, everybody's got their
everybody's got a
story.
point.
It's a funny
Right.
way of doing it, but Johnny was still a dick.
Oh, Johnny was a dick, but so
But
was,
it's just kind of funny to do.
rewatch those movies. Daniel is a dick.
Yeah, just
he's a dick to everyone. To
If you
his
think about
mom.
it from that view.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he
absolutely.
a dick to his mom? Or
Yes.
is he just a kid that gets
See, but
moved
that's
on?
the thing. He is a kid, but he's kind of a dick. He's kind of a dick to Mr. Miyagi as well. Until he realizes he's actually getting up until the moment that he goes, show me wax on, wax off. Until that moment, he's kind of a dick.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, you're teaching me something. And then you get to the second movie, and Daniel-san's kind of a dick until he's not. It's one
He's
of
got
those
to learn the
things.
kata.
Yeah,
Right.
he needs to learn balance in his life. But no, Cobra Kai, I've loved all 4 seasons of it.
3.
3 seasons. We got the 4th one coming next
Oh,
month.
It's
really?
supposed to be 5
Oh,
seasons.
next month.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Is it next month? Oh, it might be Christmas, New Year's Eve, I mean.
Yeah,
New Year's Eve, you're right.
We could do a show later on. Actually, it would be a great show since you two are so musically inclined. Is there's a wonderful podcast on the musical of Cobra Kai, not just the soundtrack, but all the music from that era.
I'd have to find the podcast and listen to it, but sure thing. So anyway, we're 20 minutes plus into this, 24 minutes into
No, I
this.
thought we'd give ourselves a half an hour to ramble.
Okay.
Right? A full half hour to ramble.
Something
Before
like
we get
that.
to our topic. Isn't that the point?
Well, we
First
kind of...
half hour is ramble.
Well, I know we kind of want to talk about what if, and I want to give us enough time to wrap up the conversation that we started. I think we wrapped up with day 2 of Gen Con.
Well, we'll do Reader's Digest of 3, 4, 5,
right.
6. Yeah, right.
No, but Gen Con, overall, here's what I'm going to say, final word on Gen Con before we move on to the other con stuff that we kind of want to talk about here. Hey, Warlock, how you doing, brother? So Gen Con, It really reminded me of Gen Con, the late aughts, early teens, before we had 70,000 people.
The first few in Indy is really what it reminded me of. Yeah.
We were able to, without the confunk. So it was the first few years in Indy, with people taking a shower. Yeah, a little bit. We've got the everything situated now, I think, since the reorganization. Anyway, I would have loved to have the Asmodee group there, and Iello and everybody else, Paizo and whatnot, but I'm kind of glad that it was as scaled back as it was, just because of the COVID, but it was nice to be able to just walk up to tables.
It was so nice, man. Not having the giant crush of not just people, but the giant crush of giant booths that people are trying to crush into, and people are literally running to when the doors open.
Right, the sprinters.
That kind of silliness. Like, it was so nice not to have that, because that was never what Gen Con was all about.
Right.
Like, it became that. And, as a capitalist, I don't hate capitalism, but boy, that's what it turned into. It was not. People weren't running to the booth for the joy of the hobby. They were running to the booth because they wanted to get their LEs, because they had 10 friends who wanted to buy them their LEs.
Gee, I don't know what that feels like.
Sell those LEs, and or do something with them. So
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I bought the limited edition stuff, but I didn't feel the overwhelming need to. Hey, I need to get there an hour before the doors open, sit here, wait in line, and then sprint for the WizKids booth,
or many hours before the doors open. Yeah.
Well, I was never the one to get there more. The longest I would wait is an hour, and even that got irritating.
Oh yeah.
It's I learned my lesson a couple of years ago. I used to go to Gen Con as a single game player. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go and I'm going to play Star Wars CCG, or I'm going to be a demo monkey for WizKids, or I'm going to play HeroClix all weekend long. The problem is I missed out for so many years of my convention life. Between 1996 and probably 2003, I missed a lot of the cons that I went to because I was going as a volunteer. I was going to work.
Because you always think they're going to give you free time to do something, and then it never happens.
I never thought that, but I always, by the time
I didn't care as much because you were kind of a one game guy,
right? But once I broke that cycle, and I broke especially the HeroClix cycle, because even once I wasn't volunteering, I'm going to go, okay, so my schedule is Thursday, I play in Battle Royale, this HeroClix event, Battle Royale, and then, I had everything laid out, but I was sitting at these tables. Mm-hmm. Right? And I broke that habit probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and I've never been happier because the simple fact of the matter is, now I've got all of this to explore, and I am finding game after game after game. I mean, Clank in Space or Tyrants of the Underdark is the one that it's like, you know what? I did a demo of that, and I bought that game on the spot because I loved that game instantly. Mm-hmm. I never would have been able to do that if I were just locked in. I'm just doing the WizKid stuff.
Right.
So that was just me.
And I've only I did the volunteering 2 years. I don't know. I think it was 2 years in a row for Mantic. And the only reason I didn't care about giving up most of my days to volunteering was because I had been going to Gen Con for 20 to 25 years in a row and was very used to all of it. I'm like, yeah, it's all the same stuff. Right? I don't really care. Like, as long as I can walk around a little bit and see what's up, and that was fine. And so that was a different thing to do for me. Like, I had not done that before, so it was pretty cool to be in a booth and working at Gen Con, even though it was on a volunteer basis. I got a free hotel room and a couple meals, and so that was fine. But that was fun. That was new and different to me.
Right,
I'd never done that before, so that was kind of cool.
So,
but I don't want to do it again.
Well, actually, I had a little bit of a break. I
never want to do it again.
So I went 96 to 2000, and then it was about 2004 to about 2008 or 10. Where I volunteered for WizKids, and before that it was Decipher. So I had a little bit of a break where I went as a fan, and then I went back to volunteering because free badge, and I'm at Gen Con. Mm-hmm. But you just when you're the one thing that I learned to loathe, and I tell the WizKids people, I'm like, I am not a demo monkey.
Right? Yeah.
You want me here? Fine. I will sell your product, or I'm running tournaments. I'm not demoing your games.
It's exhausting, dude.
It's not just exhausting. By the end of the weekend, you're doing this.
You can't talk, yeah.
Additionally, you inevitably hit those knuckleheads who they want, they're not taking the hint that your demo is over. You have to actually say, your demo is over, please get up now.
Right.
I need to go pee. Right. I had this one kid, demo games for Star Wars CCG were built on 20 card decks. They was meant to last 10 to 15 minutes at the most.
Yep.
We get to about the 40-minute mark with this kid, and I'm like, okay, what's the first phase of your turn? Activation.
So something you learn, yeah.
I'm like, okay, how much force do you activate? 5? God damn it. Yeah. So activate your 5 force. Now what?
This explanation was becoming a lot like your demo game.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So no, we're at the 40-minute mark,
right.
and the team lead comes over and is like, Tony, you know it's only supposed to be like a 10-minute demo. I'm like,
let's go.
I know. I don't know how to tell him to get the fuck out of the chair.
Yeah, and you learn those things. You do it a few times, and then you figure it out, right? And I always tell people, like, well, at conventions, at Gen Con specifically, I'm showing people how to play Kings of War, which is a rank and flank, multiple units. You need a 4x6 table. Of course, we're not doing any of that at Gen Con. We're doing that on a 2x2 with 3 units on a side. I said, we're going to do 2 turns. This is going to take 3.5 minutes, right? Here's how it works. You do this and move here. Okay, great. You do this and move here. Great, that sounds good. You do this, roll these 5 dice. Okay, great. You move here and roll these 5 dice. Okay, great. Now, that's generally how the game works. You can see how this is different than Warhammer and different than this game and kind of like this game and kind of like this game. Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's great.
You take this tape measure and you measure your dick.
Have a great day.
Units.
Yeah.
And it does take time to learn that. It is a little bit of a skill.
It is. Well, I mean, I was already a couple of years into this. This was the absolute worst case scenario where
sometimes when you're working directly for the company, they kind of tell you how you have to do it as well. Like they're saying, here's your 20 card deck, Tony. Here's what you do. And so you're doing what they told you to do, and then it's like, hey, we need to move this along, kind of thing. Like,
well, and the thing is, and part of it is, and part of it's the salesmanship. Part of me wants him to go ahead. I want him to get that Darth Vader down and beat the shit out of Luke and win the game that way.
And then go buy a starter
deck. Instead, what I got at the 40-minute mark, I went, okay, my boss leans in my ear. I said, okay. I activate my force. I draw it all up. Congratulations, you just won the game. It's one of those anticlimactic wins. But at this point, I didn't care if this kid played the game or not. Yeah. I'm like, I just need to be out of here. I need to be done with this.
Even with all my years of experience doing demo games on my own and for my own companies and working for many other game stores, it still takes a little bit of practice in that convention environment. And when even at the store when I was doing demo games, and I would say, okay, do you want hey, what's this game all about? Okay, do you want the 5-minute? I'll show you kind of what it is. Do you want the 15-minute? I'll show you a couple turns, or do you want kind of the half an hour full Monty where we'll each play 2 full turns and I can show you exactly how it plays?
Yeah, and
I'll even give the player that option, like how much time you got, like. At a convention, it's always the 5-minute version, or maybe the 15, depending on what's going on.
Usually it was you wanted to give them the 10 to 15 minute
in the booth, and that's it.
At the booth.
Also for Mantic, for 1 year, they had scheduled demo, so it was a 1-hour demo. So it was a full game. It was just a 1-hour kind of condensed version. So you can show them all the ins and outs, all the game, but you're limited to an hour, and it's a ticket. It costs them $2 to play.
So. There's a new X-Wing player that a lot of the players have been trying to teach at Grugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Andrew.
And it's great, and he's a very nice guy. The point is, it feels like it's a demo at this point right now.
At times,
it's a little slow, and we're you know how it is. Like you want to teach people the right way before they have certain behaviors that are hard to correct. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of that.
But you also need to let people make mistakes too.
Right.
Exactly.
At some point.
Yeah. Well,
I'm researching for the what if topic, dude.
I just look up and you're like, I'm not interested in this conversation.
So Joey's bored. Okay. So let's finish up Gen Con.
So Gen Con.
Final thoughts on Gen Con?
Final thoughts were I'm happy. I'm really happy that I did it this year.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I did it. I'm also happy that I didn't run my trench run for this year as well. I think that would have been.
I meant to ask you about that. How many years have you done that?
6.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 6 or. Actually, no, 7 years. It's been 7 years.
So a long time. I didn't even realize that. I mean, I guess I realized the game had been around that long, but not much longer than that.
Yeah,
Why don't we turn it into a week at Grogs? Because I want to see.
We're going to.
I want to see those.
And we've done it at Grogs many times.
Yeah.
But now with the new rules.
He's going to do the new.
Yeah, so I adapted it. I've adapted it from 1.0 to 2.0. What was really funny was running that trench run. The Rebels at one point were like 6-19. They don't win often, but it's supposed to be that way,
It's supposed
right?
to be hard, yeah.
It's supposed to be really hard because the Rebels have only one way to win, and that's to hit the exhaust port within the time limit. Period. I had one game, Michael Collins, the one that he won. He actually managed to get 4 shots off on the exhaust port.
Wow.
I'm like, that's never happened. It's usually 2.
Right.
But I had one game at Gen Con where they got 0 shots. It's like they got so involved in flying around up here, and I'm going to shoot.
I'm going to kill this guy.
I'm going to kill the TIE.
I'm going to do this. I'm
like,
dude, bro. Dude, bro,
get
in
the trench.
Right.
You can only shit. And by the time they realized it, it's like, well, yeah, you're never going to get down the trench.
Nope, too late now.
The biggest issue that I had with the game from 1.0 and 2.0 is because you're flying. Every list is flying 4 or 5 ships. Yep. The movement phase takes forever because it's like, okay, we got to move each of these ships individually.
Right.
Well, now they've got epic rules and they've got epic maneuver templates where you can fly an entire squad with one action.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the maneuver is going to be for the lead ship, and then I put this template down, and the other ships land around it.
Oh, gotcha. So you don't have to move them with individual dials.
Right, you don't move them with individual dials. They don't move on the individual pilot initiative either, because it's 1, 2. All right, pilot skill 1, let's go. Pilot skill 2. Oh, pilot skill 1 for Rebels. Pilot skill 1 for Imperials. Right. So you've got these 12 things, and sometimes they go fast. But when you've got 50 ships on the board,
and 2 or 3 that are new, it just takes forever. Yeah.
So
people want to actually roll the dice. They don't want to do the movement.
Right. So rather than letting people bring whatever they want, I have set lists for each side. So dedicated teams. I'm making it so that at Gen Con, nobody has to bring a damn thing.
Right.
I will provide you
which is the right way
everything you need.
It's a convention game. That's the way you should play it.
So I'm providing everything. The reason I didn't do that in the past is because I wanted people who knew how to play, at least have a level of experience with the game, because it can be a slog if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, imagine sitting down, hey, I'm a brand new player, let's play Lance on Lance Battletech.
No, and that's why you make it a convention
style game,
you
right? You
don't play all of the rules. you have to actually streamline the rules a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're going to get a couple of playtest rounds in, especially since we've got such a decent group at the store, and I feel like I can get some good feedback from that crew. If we can get 10, if we can get 8, I would be happy. The way I've got the game set up now is it's meant to be played 4v4.
Yeah.
But if we get a 5th player on each side, I've got an extra list of some broken-ass ships. I mean, broken-ass ships for this game.
Nice.
It's we need a 5th.
Does Howl Runner come screeching in?
Oh, Howl Runner's in the base game. But what I did was for the extra ships. Yeah. If we end up with 10 players, the Rebels get a pair of E-wings that can go screaming down the trench that are set up specifically to be able to hit that exhaust port no matter what.
Nice.
Then you're forcing the Imperials to kill them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the Imperials, they get 2 TIE defenders, which are just disgusting.
Yeah,
it's mean. It's mean-spirited. It is.
I like it. Okay, folks. I'm already getting on the Greg Nerd group, and I'm going to start pistol whipping people who want to show up.
There we go.
It would be fun to do that with if you get a majority of experienced players.
Right.
That would be fun too. Yeah.
It would be,
as opposed to newbies playing a convention style game.
And see, that's exactly it. If I'm doing a convention style, and we've got it's like, okay, we've got 10, we've got a full group. Who's the newbies? Newbies, you get the broken fucking ships. Just so you've got a chance.
Just so you got a shot. Yeah. Don't give them to the guys that know what they're doing.
No.
Yeah. Like you were saying, I had fun at Gen Con. I was very glad I went. Trade day was a waste, But had fun, and of course we met out a few times and made it more of a vacation than a gaming thing. Like
Yeah.
we did more drinking than we did gaming, probably.
Yeah.
Very close. It was about 50-50.
I got my credit card bill. We did
we did plenty of drinking.
Wow.
plenty of drinking.
But so then
Rafe and his goddamn $15.
Yep, exactly.
No,
So
but
then,
that was fun.
so what's up next after?
So
Gen
next
Con?
up is we've got 17 days till Dragonfall.
Till Dragonfall.
Dragonfall.
Well, actually, no. Let's talk Dragonfall first. So
Sure.
Dragonfall is a it's a small hotel convention.
Yep, and it's really a tournament convention.
It's
is
a
what
tournament
it is. It's not
convention.
really a convention per se. It's a tournament in a hotel of multiple tournaments of multiple games. It's
Right.
kind of like earlier Adepticon.
Right.
What it is.
So, and they're that's what they're kind of trying to build toward, right? They're kind of trying to build it into a fall Adepticon
Yep.
to give the gamers a second chance, another place to go play in these large
high
scale
level
events.
competitive games.
Right. Now, I'm going just for painting and podcasting. I am
Right.
not participating. The only game that they're running that I play is Song of Ice and Fire,
Yeah.
and I don't want to play against a bunch of
The good news is only 2 people registered for that event, so
Really?
that'll be canceled.
geez.
Today, he announced canceling of 2 events because people aren't registering.
Wow.
So I'm looking at that as just to kind of hang out, say hi, maybe try to raise a few dollars for charity.
That's exactly it. Because the whole thing is a charity event.
It is a
too.
charity event, yeah. It's
So
a 501c3 event.
They are so every cent that doesn't go into the production of the show goes into a couple of different charities. I
Yeah.
know that Extra Life is one of them.
Yep.
What's the other one? I want to say it's
I don't know who they're doing this year.
100%.
let's take a look.
the-
Dragonfall.
Lurie's Children Hospital is always for
Yeah,
the,
we usually.
for
I
the
want-
Extra Life.
There we go, Dragonfall Convention. And the other nice thing is it's not expensive. The ticket for me to hang out for the weekend.
Child's Play and Extra Life.
There we go, Child's Play.
It's always,
Not to be
and it's at the
confused
Grand
with
Geneva, so it's way more expensive to stay in the Grand Geneva, even under the Dragonfall tab.
It is
than anything else.
It
right?
is. But hey, my anniversary is the 20th, so this is 3 days after my anniversary. So it's like, hey, honey, we can go up Friday and go to the Grand Geneva. And she's like, you're going to be so busy with the convention. I'm like, you could come in.
No, not really.
She doesn't
not
get
really,
that
you
part.
can be that busy.
I'm like, I'm going to
Gen
be.
Con.
I'm like, I am this one. I'm trying to tell her. I'm like, we'll have time to hang out. Oh, I don't want to bother you. I'm like, honey, I'm going to be sitting at a table with a paint station talking to people. That's literally all I'm going there to
There's
do.
no big giant vendor hall to wander
Just
through.
pretend I'm home in my
You're
basement.
the vendor.
I literally am the vendor hall.
I can get your stuff cheaper at your store. Then, hey,
Yeah.
Todd, let me get some of those
And all
Dragonfall
I'm bringing is
prices.
the used stuff. Like I'm just bringing the tubs of used stuff. I'm not even bringing anything else.
Not bringing any other product.
It's just not going to be a lot of people this year.
Yeah.
It's just a bad year because people are still trying to get over the pandemic hangover.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people aren't registering for tournaments. It is a little weird in Chicagoland. People look at Lake Geneva and they're like, oh, that's really far away.
It's like, no, it's
not.
not.
Though. It's really, RockCon is right down the road. Like, no, this is just as far away as RockCon.
Yeah.
Is in Rockford.
Right.
It's right there.
I'm like, you just don't go as far west and turn north.
Yeah.
It's
It's not far away at all. So there's this weird kind of Chicago bias against Lake Geneva for some reason.
It's in another state, dude.
Well, not really though. I mean, it's
know.
all basically the same thing, right?
Well, it's 35 minutes, 40 minutes from our doorstep.
Right? It's crazy.
So it's like, okay, I will drive up there. We got the middle suite for me and the wife. It's like,
Right.
we're like, well, what's the difference between that and your expensive suite? It's like, oh, you get the hot.
$300?
It's like an extra $100 a night. I'm like,
no.
We'll take what's your cheapest one that's got a fireplace? That's it. That's all I care
That's
about.
pretty much what I did too. Yeah. Because my wife is going to come up that night as well.
Yeah. She's coming
We
up
might
Friday?
Well, I only got the room for Saturday night. I was going to go Saturday early, but she's taking the week off, so I got to find out what her schedule is.
Okay.
So we may be up there Friday night as well.
We're gonna actually.
Although it may depend on if the White Sox are still in the series. So we'll see.
They've got televisions up there.
I mean, it's another state.
But you
but it's
understand, I have to
Wisconsin.
focus, and I'm not going to spend a bunch of money to go to a hotel, and when I have to focus on the White Sox.
Yeah, but you're only
There's a lot
focused
of
for like
focus.
3.5 hours.
But it's a whole thing, Tony. It's a whole thing. I'm already going to 2 of the playoff games, assuming they play more than 3. So.
Nice. So, but yeah, it's good. I think that's going to be fun. I'm planning on hanging out with Anthony and JT and Ian and the whole. We got this entire Chicagoland paint crew, including Lila Mev, the mini witch. I don't know if you've seen her stuff. She's from Chicago too. I don't know if she's coming up yet.
I mean, know her. I just don't know that moniker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's got that's her YouTube channel, and she's good. She's great for beginners. She doesn't do, although she does some advanced techniques. She doesn't do a lot of advanced teaching. Where she's putting out 45-minute videos on how to wet blend. It's okay. We're gonna do these are you can layer or you can glaze or you can wet blend, and these are she kind of shows you what they are, but she doesn't. She's very like. Imagine if Uncle Adam did his shtick, but painting more painting than he does.
A little bit more matter of factly.
Yeah.
Kind of here's what it is, as opposed to let me bring you there.
And this is why when I use it and why I use this, which is great. It's great for beginners and intermediates, but I like to watch the brush strokes, which is why I fall down. I fell down a James Wapple rabbit hole.
Yeah. Easy to do.
Oh my god,
amazing stuff.
And the thing is, he makes it look so. He's like,
that's the most infuriating thing about Jim because he's so good. He's like Michael Jordan. He makes it look so easy. Like, well, anybody can just do that.
Right.
Like, oh God,
it's like, before we got started, I made this base. I got the Green Stuff World roller, and I put it. I used sculpting. I baked a big sheet of it, and now I've created the whole base. And now what we're gonna do with this work? And he can actually talk the whole time.
$200 worth of like custom.
No. It's not. It's really not. But he's like, okay, I'm gonna put this oil paint on the whole thing. I'm sitting there. I was watching this video. I'm like, we're 20 minutes into. I'm like, for me to be at that point, I'd be an hour into that fucking mini at this point. He's 20 minutes. He's like, and he's just talking. He's like, we're just going to put a little bit. We're going to put a little this gray right here. This, and then we're going to take some of this. We're going to wipe this off. Look at how that looks already. Now we're going to start the OSL. And I'm like, God damn, to be that fine. I mean, here's the thing. I know I've got talent, but I watch the people who are truly great at it, and I go, fuck. James Wapple kills me to watch. There are a lot of people who are on YouTube that I think are good painters.
Yeah,
there are people on YouTube that are mediocre painters, but they're fun to watch. And then they're the true fucking greats.
Yeah.
And watching James Wapple work, watching Marco Frazzoni work, I just sit there and I go, oh, I hate you both. I hate you so much. And now he's playing with oil. So now I'm like, now I've got to go out and buy oil paints to be as good as James Wapple.
Well, and the funny thing is, Jim's only been using oils for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's
like
about
he just discovered
2 years
them.
ago. Oh yeah, and he figured out the techniques.
Oh yeah, it didn't take long.
Oh,
no. Really, an actual super talented guy who just can figure out how to do things.
Oh, so infuriating.
Training with him, yeah. Actual God-given talent,
right?
But he's so good because he's talented, but there's nobody who's more prolific. There can't be anybody who's more prolific than he is.
He
paints so much.
Him and his wife, Kathy's really good too.
Yeah, they both are constantly doing it, and she's improved. I mean, you could look at her stuff from a few years ago and look at her stuff now, and she's gone light years from where she was. She's a phenomenal painter. And Jim he decides he's going to do something. He just does it hardcore, 100% all the time until he's where he is with everything, right? So he's going to pick this new technique. He's going to do that new technique until he's at the gym level with everything, and it doesn't take him long. But that's because he does it all the time.
Right.
He's so prolific. He never stops doing it. He never stops practicing. Never stops painting.
There's this guy called Potan, Potan.
Okay.
He builds a lot of Gundam stuff.
Okay.
But, the reason I found him, I went through an Adam Savage rabbit hole. But, so he did this stop motion animation of that giant Gundam you guys have in the store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, he, every little snip, every cut, but he edited it so it's super fast.
Yeah.
And it's mesmerizing. But on top of that, not just assembly, he does all custom decals. He does painting on his own. This whole thing is just top notch, but just the video quality of it alone.
Custom decals have become so much easier to make.
I understand
it's
that.
The whole thing now, yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of the mini painting and stuff like that, sometimes the quality of the video, I'm not talking about live streaming.
Yeah.
I'm talking about actual
video. The quality of production matters. But here's the thing. If somebody, James Wapple, he's got a setup that looks kind of like mine does for painting. He's like, except he shows you his palette. I don't show you my palette.
Right.
And he just sits there and he talks. And you never see his face. You never see his face on camera.
No.
And he just and he just talks the whole time. And I'm like, God.
Does he put a happy little tree somewhere?
Sometimes it feels like
he
it.
Puts a happy little Confederate hat on people is what he likes to do. That's kind of his thing. He likes to wear. It's not a Confederate hat; it's a Union hat. He wears a Civil War Union hat every
day.
Yeah, right. But there's some guys out there that are just amazing. And one of the things that I'll tell anybody out there, whether you watch our stream or any of these other mini painter streams, diversify. A lot of the tips and tricks that I've learned from scale modelers. There's so much that you can learn by watching scale modeling. It's ridiculous. There's a guy called Aztec Dummy that I watch for his Star Trek builds because he paints, he creates custom masks and paints every Aztec pattern on every Star Trek ship by airbrush, but he masks it all and does it all. I'm like, no, dude, you realize they gave you decals? And in one of the videos, he goes, he actually says, he's like, they gave you decals to do all this, but I said, I'm not a wallpaperer, I'm a painter. Like, oh my God.
Right.
There's scale modelers out there, train guys, model kit guys, Andy's Hobby. What is it? Andy's Hobby is one of them. Christopher Olsen, I know I've told you about, has done so many. He's the one who puts all the fiber optics and all the LEDs in all of the models, and he's fantastic to watch.
That's crazy. That's plus.
It really. Here, let me tell you how plus this guy is. His B-wing build, like Pasquale's got. One of the things that he did was he painted and he lit the interior of the B-wing cockpit, but the B-wing cockpit rotates.
Oh yeah.
So what he did was he put the LED in the back of the cockpit, drilled out holes, and then he used copper tape on the outside of it
so no
to
matter
form
where
a
it
ring,
goes,
so
it
that
still doesn't lose connection.
It never loses connection. So he can spin his.
That's
cockpit.
extra.
I was like,
that's +1.
I'm like, holy shit!
That's
and
just
then
cheating.
That's Vorpal Sword +1.
He programs these little boards so he can put buttons in the bases that make different lights and sound patterns. I'm like,
he's got a Batman one that's the Batmobile.
The Batmobile. I just saw that one. Yeah. But no, his Y-wing. Watch his video on his Y-wing before you go buy that model. It's spectacular.
I might have.
So, FYI, just hot off the presses here.
Yes, sir.
My buddy Matt, who runs the charity auction and charity events at Dragonfall.
Yeah.
Who's also edits Uncle Adam's Sunday video that he does a Sunday live chat.
Yep. The every other Sunday show.
Every other Sunday show. He edits that show. What do you call it? Moderates, I guess. And edits that show for him. Edit isn't the right word, but moderates that show for him. And has been editing his videos for a long time. Anyway, so he's great friends with Uncle Adam. Adam will be at the show.
Yes,
so
he's the guest of honor.
And Matt will be there, and I'll be there, and you'll be there. And so if you want to come meet the Grognards and You Got Me Monologuings and the Uncle Adams and the charity folks, it's a fun thing to do. Even if you're not playing, even if you just come up on Saturday,
they're going to have a paint room.
Or Sunday, they've got a paint room. They've got awesome charity stuff. I'm telling you, I can't over exaggerate how amazing some of these charity lots are.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable, dude.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Anthony Wang, who has won multiple painting awards. He's kind of taken me under his wing a little bit.
He likes to do that. He really likes kind of mentoring people.
Yes, he does.
He's about growing that community for sure.
He's doing paint classes. He's running 2 sessions of 2 different paint classes. And they're only $45, for like a 3-hour session or a 4-hour session. Which for
are they that long? Really?
They might be 2, but even if it's 2,
2 is great. If they're at least 2, yeah.
But he's doing one on volumes and he's doing one on contrast.
Okay, good.
Which are the 2? They're just.
He's better. I took an intro class from Anthony many years ago.
Yeah,
which was good. I learned a lot, but I'm like, boy, he is so far above what I'm able to do. Like, he really needs to be teaching more advanced classes. And I'm sure he's amazing at them because he's great at explaining things on a high level.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not at that level yet.
What kills me is his reverence for Alfonso.
Right. I mean, and we've talked about that a little bit, yeah.
Well, what kills me, it's like, well, Alfonso's thinking that the weekend after Adepticon he'll come to town and he'll do a couple of classes. Yeah. I'm like, okay. It's like, okay. It's like, so if we can fill the class, we can get like 16. He'd probably drop to $250, but it's $400 for the class over 2 days, like 13 hours. I'm like, no. Thank you for the offer,
but he will change the way in which you think about painting. Like he's not a guy that's just going to show you what you already do and refine it.
Right.
He's going to completely take you and say what you're doing is wrong, and this is how you should be painting.
Right.
Like that's why it's 13 hours because he completely completely destroys what you were doing and shows you the quote unquote right way of doing it.
That's actually the biggest issue I have with the mini painting community. I'm
right.
Like, there's no fucking right way.
Right.
Okay. It's like if I just
it may not be the right way, but it'll be the Alfonso way.
Well, right. And I get that, and I want to learn every technique that I can, but let me pick and choose because a lot of the it's like heavy metal. They want the heavy metal style. I'm like, I don't do panel lines. I refuse to do panel lines. Right. I get it. But I watch, so much box art. Let me rephrase. So much older box art. You look at the box art from the 90s into the early 2000s, and a lot of it took 3D models, and because they were so exaggerated. And I get it's because they're tiny, but they use so many 2D techniques that it flattens that model. And now you look at it, it's like that's a great painting of a that's a miniature. I'm like, well, it doesn't look like a 3D miniature. Right. It looks like a painting of a guy.
I call it hyper realism. Right, it's got that weird hyper realistic look to it. It doesn't. It's almost comic booky. You know what I mean? That's kind of the whole GW kind of old school panel line thing. It's very comic booky, right? So we've wandered into new territory. Joey, you're still here. How are you?
I have been waiting to talk about What If.
We're going to get there, I promise.
So we've talked about Dragonfall. You've got a comic convention coming up.
So the last thing I want to talk about are and I'd like to take a longer stretch at this. I'm going to give you guys some research to do that you can homework.
Nice.
Because I kind of want to
do it.
I already have enough, man.
Joey's
dude, you've got 2 classes. I don't want to hear it. Your improv class got canceled.
Yeah, exactly. But I've got 5 days to work, and so I don't have much time to work on.
Look at you having to time management.
Oh my god!
No.
It's almost like you're.
I know.
It's almost like you're a college student or something. Anyway, I get it. No, so. Next, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after is the final Wizard World convention, Wizard World Chicago. I'd like to kind of do a podcast a little bit on the history of how they came about. I think it's a fascinating topic, and then once you get to the late aughts into the early 20-teens. The convention wars that they kind of started and kind of where I think they went wrong. I think it would be fun. I got a couple of things for you guys to check out. We'll talk about it more.
Give me some homework because I've been to literally one comic convention my entire life.
Yeah. So and the thing is, Wizard World, it still holds a special place in my heart. I'm not gonna lie. My very first convention of all.
It's when you popped your Wizard World cherry.
I popped it at Chicago Comic-Con at the Ramada O'Hare.
Wow.
It's now a Holiday Inn, and when you're pulling up to the convention center, you can see the convention center on the left. If you look on the right, it's that hotel that's got the top floor that kind of sticks out.
Yeah. I went to a Holiday Inn baseball card convention. Like you just walk into a room and 3x8 tables.
Yeah.
I think I was traumatized. I don't think I ever went back. I mean,
traumatized.
I'm a 12-year-old kid, right? Yeah. Dad takes me like, oh, we're gonna trade baseball cards. Didn't know what to expect.
Right.
And like it's literally a bunch of men and like cardboard boxes filled with merch.
Little sterile. A little not so fun.
Yeah, conventions came a long way.
The room also did not help. Right? The Holiday Inn, like so when people think hotels, everybody thinks the lobbies.
Right.
But like all the rooms, no matter what hotel it is, look like a standard room.
It's a box, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing a convention show in November. I'm running the game room at WindyCon again. So, this is going to... And they're like, well, what should we do to try and draw gamers? And I said, we don't.
Nothing. Don't waste your time.
Nope.
Spend your resources elsewhere.
Yep. We're going to get a couple of badges for people to donate their games.
We don't need
to the game library.
Badges.
I'm like, I will run a couple of painting sessions. We'll run some D&D sessions for beginners only or people who want to return to the game. I'm like, but it's going to be introductory. We're not doing anything high level because you're not going to draw these people to this convention to play in D&D sessions for 8 hours at a time.
Yep.
So we're not going to do anything special. We're gonna just keep it.
Yep.
We're going to keep it basic because that's the best thing that we can do for this convention. Anyway, Wizard World, the last Wizard World Chicago, Wizard sold the last 6 of its conventions off to Fan Expo, who runs Dragon Con down in
Atlanta.
No, not Dragon Con, MegaCon. No, that's Reed Pop.
Oh, Reed Pop, that's right.
They run Fan Expo in Toronto. Wow. The problem is, and if you're not one of the biggest ones, which would be C2E2, San Diego,
right.
The draws are hard, and I feel bad for people who live outside of Chicago, New York, and LA and San Diego, because the conventions that they tend to get, the comic book conventions, tend to be crap, because they're going to bring in. You're going to get your B-list celebrities, but how often are you going to be able to bring a true A-list celebrity?
So I know Dragon Con is in Atlanta.
Yes,
but do they not do? Is that not? Is
no,
that
Dragon Con. Dragon Con is a bigger one. Heroes.
I don't know if that, but I don't know how much of a pop culture con that is.
Dragon Con is more costumes.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the ones that I used to follow. It was New York, right? It was the big Dragon Con.
Yeah, no, Dragon Con is Atlanta.
Dragon Con was all about costumes when I followed on Twitter.
I know. I know it's one of the bigger ones.
It is. Sure. They bill themselves as the largest multimedia pop culture convention.
Yeah. More pop culture.
Focusing on science fiction and fantasy gaming, comics, literature.
Which the argument for the last 10 years is that's what Gen Con is. Gen Con has just become a pop culture con.
It hasn't. If you go to any of these Comic Cons, C2E2, the thing I love about C2E2 is they still focus on the comics. You still get your big publishers still come to it. You get announcements from the publishers. You get the top name comic book talent. And it's bigger for comics than San Diego Comic Con is, because San Diego has become
movie central.
Right. It's all about movies and TV.
Well, it's almost like it's on the West Coast or something.
Almost, you would think.
This is what kills me about San Diego Comic Con.
Talking to your mic. Yeah, you just went, see what these and you went,
because of that. Anyhow, all the fucking trailers come out.
Yeah.
The second they release them in all H.
Yeah.
There is no reason.
Yes, there is.
Wait.
Yep. And here's why. Here we
go.
No. I mean, look, I don't want to go and waste my time doing that. But Force Awakens. Hey. Here's the trailer. Oh, by the way, does anybody want to go to a Star Wars concert? Here, let me take you to the San Diego Symphony Orchestra.
It's not the events, it's the surprises.
It's the surprises, and it also gives you your only opportunity to meet the cast without having to fork over.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to an Avengers panel at San Diego Comic-Con, hey, look, there's Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth.
All the Chris's?
And Pratt. You got the three Chris's up front. You've got everybody just sitting right there. And I just walk up and go, hi, how are you doing? Sign this. Thank you. Move to the next area. Sign this. Thank you. Or I can go to Ace Comic-Con and I can drop $200 for that same Chris Evans only autograph. Mm-hmm. So San Diego, the reason you go, you don't go for the comic books.
Paying for all the actors.
Yes. Because the thing is, San Diego does it right. When you go to San Diego Comic-Con, San Diego goes to the movie studios and goes, hey, we want to give you time. Yeah, I know.
Joey is now literally playing with his glasses because he's so bored.
We're going to get to the topic.
You can talk about your experience at a convention.
You've been to plenty of Comic-Cons.
I'm sure you've been to way more comic book conventions than I have ever been to. I've been to literally one in my life.
Yeah, I know, but you guys are talking about pretty much every convention other than C2E2.
Well, no, but you've been to Gen Con, yes.
But I wasn't at this past one. That's
so you weren't at this past one. How many Wizard World shows have you been to?
One.
More than that, I promise.
I don't remember.
You're yelling into the mic. Okay. You've been to more than you met Will Wheaton and Stan Lee at the same Wizard World.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only one I remember.
And you met Ray Park, and you met Peter Mayhew, and you met Jeremy Bullock, and you met all those Star Wars people at C2E2.
I've never met any of those people.
Yeah.
Not even one.
But anyway, Wizard still holds a place in my heart because they bought the Chicago Comic-Con, and back in the day, Wizard was the number 2 show. Wizard World Chicago, it was San Diego Comic-Con,
right?
Wizard World Chicago, that was it. It wasn't until the late aughts that it really started to go to shit for Wizard. But unfortunately, now it feels like we've had more bad shows than good.
Right.
I'm just hoping that that Fan Expo can turn it around and turn that into a draw again, a reason for me to go. Because the final Wizard World, here,
So wait, Fan Expo is a new one?
Yes.
Where's that?
Well, Fan Expo is they own a couple of different Comic Cons. They own Toronto.
Okay.
Let's see, Fan Expo. Let's take a look.
Here's the weird thing: Fan Expo Chicago. It's a placeholder website right now, but man, it is clickbaity. The first thing you see on Fan Expo Chicago is Chicago past fan have guests. It's terrible. They have a timer thing.
Yeah.
Chicago past fan fave guests have included.
Those.
And they've got Carrie Fisher.
It's all clickbait. It's all cancer. It's
right.
Like it just destroys your computer. Here's all your Trojan horses. Thank you so much for that.
Exactly. So Fan Expo, their big one is MegaCon. Excuse me, MegaCon Orlando was what got them started.
Or anything MegaCon.
It
Vancouver,
wasn't horrible. It's a big show, but now you've got Fan Expo Boston, Fan Expo Dallas, Fan Expo Vancouver. The problem is, and nobody learned their fucking lessons after the aughts and the early teens. When you have this many conventions, you spread the guests super thin.
Right.
Now, here's the problem, and this last Wizard World Chicago, let's take a look. Chicago, 2021 guests. All right, so now here's what I will tell you: their media guests aren't horrible. Stephen Amell, we got Dean Cain,
Outlander,
right? But they're comic guests. Dear God, they're comic guests. William Shatner's going to be there, but Shatner's been a regular on the circuit for a while.
Yeah.
You've got the Outlander cast
in outer space anyway.
Right. Then you got the standard. They're comic book creators. This kills me because this is a comic convention.
Right.
Mike. Are you fucking kidding me? Jim Shooter dropped out.
Who's that?
He was the editor-in-chief of Marvel in the 80s. He was their big draw. And Mike Grell.
Now he's done.
And he's not there. So they brought Peter David.
Yeah, conventions are so weird this year, man.
Yeah.
It's just a bad year.
But everybody else is either local, like Dan Parent or Angel Medina, or they're nobody that you care about.
Right.
I mean, it's... Part of me wants to go for nostalgia, and part of me says, don't waste your fucking money.
Right.
Because it's just not worth it. I may go for a day to go pick through comic bins, to go do some shopping.
Go Sunday.
Get the cheap ticket. Anyway, so then coming up, December is going to be C2E2. And this weekend is this year's New York Comic Con put on by the same group. So I'm looking forward to C2E2. They haven't announced much.
Is it going to be in person again?
Yes.
Oh, I might go.
I just want to go downtown Chicago. Can we skip the con and go right to the Chinese?
Go to the Chinese restaurant?
Or we could do both.
I feel like I'd be more satisfied physically by just going right to the Chinese place.
Ooh, we could do Chinese and then we head right to C2E2.
That might actually be interesting.
All right, so... Wow. All right, so guests right now include Peacemaker himself, John Cena.
John Cena.
Now, is that his actual name?
John Cena's his name?
Yeah, John Cena.
He's a wrestler, yes.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if that was just like a wrestling name he made up for himself.
Like
maybe.
Like
Like
Randy
The
Macho Man Savage?
Or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, yeah.
Hayden Christensen will be there.
Name.
Hell yeah.
That's his Christian name, how do you know?
Obi-Wan, baby.
Yeah, dude.
His mama named him
Right?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
You're getting Chris Claremont.
Stephen Strait and Wes Chapman.
Don't know who those are.
Chatham.
Stephen Strait's from The Expanse.
And so is
one of
Wes
the greatest
Chatham.
shows ever.
Chris Claremont.
I don't mind. I was
Wes-
Chris Claremont is.
Chatham's awesome.
He's the reason I have any comic books whatsoever.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, I met him for the first time last year. He was an absolute sweetheart at the table.
I'm just kind of shocked by that because I watched that documentary and he just kind of seems like
Hey, Joey, guess who's going to be there?
I mean, he did this whole doc.
Yeah.
We could do. I don't know if we talked about it a little
The
bit.
Chris Claremont X-Men
I
doc.
You can introduce Joey to
We could
Sam
talk
Maggs,
about that thing
writer
for
of Coach
4.5 hours.
The remake.
Because it was
not the
fascinating and weird.
It
and
was.
a little like. are you angry? Are you not angry? Like, clearly there's anger there, but still he's participating, and so he's still doing conventions. So so he still wants to make some money off of those.
But the thing is, he doesn't charge. I went. He was $5 an autograph, which is completely reasonable,
nothing.
right?
It's nothing. Yeah. It's effectively zero,
right? I hate paying $5 an autograph. I really do. I hate paying for autographs. That's the old school grognard in me. It's just gotten to that point.
It depends on who it is, right? I'll pay $5 for just about any autograph. I'm not giving you $10. I'm not giving you $20 for a Koenig's autograph, but I would give you $5. I would give you $5 for Koenig's autograph.
Right?
Like, hey, I want $5. Like, here, fine.
I got it. I got
that's a cup of coffee in the morning.
I got Claremont's autograph on a couple of Excalibur books, as well as a New Mutants book that I've got. New Mutant special.
It's just funny because I can never tell if he's a bitter man or not. You know
I think he's bitter about the way things ended more than... but he had a brilliant 17-year run.
Yeah.
Where he was the sole creative force.
He set the stage. I mean, in my opinion, he really did set the stage for me to want to read an X-Men book. So I'm going to say this right now. We have to talk about what if Joey is going to mutiny.
Okay.
No, I think we just give him, like, podcast blue ball.
So,
you've got 8 minutes, Joey. Go.
Here's the transition. So, speaking of Chris Claremont and his X-Men, I think the multiverse is going to be a fantastic way to draw in Chris Claremont's X-Men into the MCU.
What?
Speaking of the multiverse.
What if? We talked about what if.
What if we done? Ding, ding, ding. Hey.
Okay.
All right, give me one of those beers.
So,
Crack one of those open for me.
Yeah, here. So, what if? I love this fucking show. What
While
about
you guys do that, I'm going to step out for a minute.
Now,
Hope everything comes out all right.
I actually have a fun fact.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They cut an episode of What If from the season.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I think this is what Todd was talking about too, because I had the exact same moment before, when Todd was, before we went on the air. So you had that moment in today's episode where they're going through, and essentially what happens is, you've watched all the other episodes, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this episode, the Watcher goes around, by the way, spoiler alert out there, if you don't want to know, don't fucking listen. Turn it off now, go away.
The Watcher
starts gathering up the heroes from all of those episodes.
Captain Carter, T'Challa, Star-Lord, etc.
To defeat
Ultimate Ultron.
Ultimate Ultron from the last episode.
Okay.
So that's he even he grabs Doctor Strange from the Dark Universe.
Yep. The Supreme.
But there was one where he cuts in, and you're going, wait a minute.
And it's Sakari and Gamora and Tony Stark on the Forge from Infinity War destroying the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
And you're just like...
It's like, what the fuck is this?
And that's because...
And I'm like, did I fall asleep in an episode? So I start going, after I was done watching, I went back through, and I'm like, where was this? Where did this come from? I don't remember this.
And it is because they ended up cutting that episode that would have had them from this season and moved it to season 2.
Okay.
And honestly, I was a little disappointed because I remember seeing a Lego set for Sakaar and Tony Stark, and it came with the armor and stuff, and it came with Valkyrie as well, and like the CMF had the Gamora we ended up seeing, and I was just like, okay, I'm actually kind of interested in seeing this, but then, nope.
Well, you'll get to see it.
Yeah, but like I was expecting them to come in this season. Like it was a little disappointing,
So, we were just talking about the scene that likely confused you, where it's like, wait a minute, when were they doing? I don't remember that. Mm-hmm. Where's Gamora coming from?
Where's Gamora coming from? Like that was the first one. That was a big one, and that was so obvious. It's like, all right, so clearly something
I missed something.
They didn't put it in, or it was. But I'm like, she was not in any other episode,
and you're right.
So I knew that, right? So here's the other very specific. Well, I don't know how very specific. A specific question I had. So kind of the MacGuffin at the end was the arrow into his eye, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now at the end of the previous, what they call the previous episode of the first half of the last episode. Hawkeye, sacrificed himself in opposition to the Black Widow sacrificing herself, right? Mm-hmm. Which is one of the great themes of the entire series, I think, is they give you the other side of every other thing, right? That was the whole point, right?
Yeah.
which I loved. I really, really liked it. But then Black Widow, I'm on the planet by myself because the planet's been obliterated by nuclear weapons, because that's the original planet that Ultron blew up with nuclear weapons.
Right. Yep.
But I thought that Hawkeye shot that arrow into their version of Ultron.
One of the drones, yes.
One of the drones. And they're like, oh, he turned into Zola or whatever. But it didn't work because actual Ultron was outside of the universe.
Yeah.
But then when she showed up in the last episode, she's like, oh yeah, I've got the ultimate virus here. Like, where did that ultimate virus arrow come from?
She picked it up.
Yeah, she pulled it back out of that drone Hawkeye shot it into.
Yeah.
And it was still good?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I missed, because I'm like...
Zola could have just...
She put Zola into that drone, and then that drone ran around, and he infected everybody except for actual Ultron, because he was in a different multiverse,
right.
A different universe. But then she pulled it back out, and so somehow Zola's still in the arrow.
Well, it's still a code. I mean, Zola's just a code.
I guess.
Or it could be he just transferred himself back from the drone into the arrow.
Yeah, but they didn't say that, which is what it just took me out of it for a second.
Sure,
like,
sure, I get that.
Okay, but I'm like... It was like, when you're it's a little,
I was just sort of like,
it's a little phallic when you're inserting the arrow into something and then exploding into the thing, right? You've expended yourself, right? And so then you're no longer in the thing.
Gross.
But then she pulled the arrow out, and so suddenly he's back in the thing again,
right?
Or he's still in the thing, right? So I thought that was a little weird, but. But I loved the, I'm a sucker for superhero movies, right?
Yep.
I don't care how stupid they are. I don't care how many MacGuffins they have.
Then you'll love.
I don't care how
Venom.
I don't care how much plot armor there is.
Yeah.
Like, I love all of it. I think it's great.
Now,
like, I'm just a sucker
I
for
heard
all
Tom
of it.
Hardy.
And I didn't even see the first Venom, so I'll watch them both, and they both come out.
I mean,
strong,
it's a buddy cop comedy.
yeah.
Tom Hardy.
I've heard it was goofy and fun.
Yeah, and that's
I don't have any
kind of
objection to him. I just never. And I love Tom Hardy. So
Yeah.
Yes, Joey.
There is actually one critique I do have on the finale, and I feel like it's that they focus a little bit too much on Party Thor's bad jokes.
Dude, that made me laugh so hard. I'm in my living room.
I mean, you're
all by
talking about,
myself, laughing out loud.
Don't get me
Thor.
wrong. Some of them were hits, like him screaming "Viva Las Vegas!"
Viva Las Vegas!
Freaking.
But the
I
comment,
love that
like, I've
part.
never heard that battle cry before.
Yeah, that was good. But like some of the jokes when he's just like they're planning and they're trying to figure stuff out, and he's just like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna keep making jokes."
And
that was.
Keep in mind, like, the actors have done all these other serious stuff. They just want to kind of do something fun.
The point,
You have a microphone.
I don't want to talk
Yeah,
into this
pull
mic.
it-
Does
pull-
anybody actually want to pay attention?
yeah, pull it up
to
here,
anything?
bro. But I think
I have nothing interesting to
and
say.
I agree with you. It was very obtuse. Like, they completely did it over the top on purpose,
Right.
And that was because that Thor is Party Thor.
Right.
Remember the Party Thor episode?
Yeah.
That's the point. That's Party
Right,
Thor.
and the thing is,
that's not Thor from the shows that we watch.
Right. He had no growth. He was, he was
still
Thor.
he was still a 17-year-old, right?
Right. He was Thor from
17-year-old Thor.
He was Thor from the first half of the first Thor movie.
Right, exactly.
Mister, this is
Hockey
good.
ego.
Bring me more. Smash.
yeah.
It's that Thor. He's faced no tragedy.
Yep.
He's had no opportunity. He's had no growth
He's always been the prince of
Asgard. He hasn't had his brother scheming behind his back to kill him.
Right.
He is just he's the dude bro throw.
He is totally dude Thor. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Go ahead, Joe.
There were also, I honestly kind of wanted to see them pull two more characters in for the finale, specifically Michael Douglas's Yellow Jacket and Zombie Hunter Spider-Man with the cape of levitation.
Right? Yeah, that'd be cool.
The zombie hunter I would have been, but I was like, part of me went, well, they didn't get anyone out of the zombie verse, and then all of a sudden it's like all the zombies. I'm like, okay, that was
Yeah.
I'll dig that. Okay, I'll forgive. All's forgiven at this point.
And I love that it was like, oh yeah, look at all the zombies. Like, no, the zombies were just part of it. Like, and then it was Scarlet Witch zombie.
Right.
Oh, that's why we pulled in all the zombies.
Yeah.
Because she was gonna F you up, bro. Like, that was pretty awesome.
That was. I dug that a lot.
And I have to say, the conceit of these shows is always like, oh, here's Ultron, who's literally biting galaxies into oblivion because he's kind of like Galactus, and he's running around the entire multiverse. And he even says in the last episode, I could destroy everything I could destroy an entire universe with a thought. But then Captain Carter hits him with a shield and he falls over. Like, okay, like there's always a conceit in every show, in every movie, in every cartoon.
Because
there's always this conceit.
Have that, like,
it would be there would be no story, right? Of course. So they always have to have that little bit of conceit, like, oh, I got punched in the face and I never expected that. Like, you literally bit a galaxy into nothingness with your mouth, and suddenly somebody hits you with the shield and you're gonna go, like it's just a conceit. That's a suspension of death, and it's an animation, so you even suspend your disbelief even more because it's an animated thing.
To be fair, I think you could say he wasn't at like absolute full power because I believe the Soul Stone was out of his thing.
You're right. The giant, completely artificially intelligent robot with huge armor only had 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones. Yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense, dude.
I mean, Thanos needed all 6.
You understand what I'm saying, though, right? I mean,
they
even lampoon themselves a little bit when Thanos shows up out of nowhere. It's like, hey. And before, he only had 1 Mind Stone. He had just the Mind Stone at that point. He goes, "Oh, that's cool," and you're dead. Yeah. Like that's kind of the movie making fun of itself, because that could have happened at any point. Like Vision could have done that to anything he ran into instantly. That was kind of the point.
That's why they nerfed him in that movie.
It's lampooning itself. That's the whole point, right?
Well, no, I mean you've got to. Nobody can be perfect, right? Your heroes have to have flaws, but so do your villains.
Right.
That's why you get the whole let's look at James Bond. Mr. Bond, I am going to go ahead while you're tied here. I'm going to lay my entire plan out
and then I'm going to leave the room, just assuming that you die horribly. Thank you, Austin Powers.
I mean, it didn't. Just because it didn't work the first 35 times doesn't mean it won't work now.
I literally watched From Russia with Love today.
Oh, did you?
With Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Just have it in the background. And there's a scene where, like, the gimmick, the Q gimmick is the suitcase.
Right.
And it's got all this stuff, and if you turn the suitcase like this, so the Bond villain, like, is super smart up to this point, tells Bond to open up the suitcase. He does it, and then he closes it, and then for some reason, a second later, he's like, okay, I want you to open it again. But like, oh wait, no, don't do that again. Here, let me do it. So then the Bond villain, like, opens up the suitcase the wrong way and gets hit with gas.
Right.
I'm like, wait, you just did it the smart way one time.
Right.
It was all spelled out. And then you, for the audience, did it the wrong way.
Right.
Because you knew it was coming. Like,
you messed it up. You're stupid.
So what? So finish your thought.
I was just going to say, the best part of those movies is Q always has the right gadget for that mission only. Yeah. It's the same thing with Batman with Burt Ward.
Oh, the shark repellent, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's always a special computer label. Like, this computer's analyzing this specific thing.
Right.
Sample.
So these are the things you should take with you.
Exactly.
Right. There's always that conceit, right? You can always make that. There's always that excuse that you can make for any story. Like,
it's
he was not at full power. Like, it's
within the show, the framework of the TV show or the movie. There's a limited number of time, so you have to develop the conceit, as Todd's been saying.
Yep.
And you set the boundaries for that thing.
And I really feel like, especially in an animated world, you can go as crazy with it as you want. Like, there are no more boundaries, right? At least in a real, whatever you call it, live action, real quote unquote movie, you have to explain your plot armor a little bit. You know, there's always that magic acorn. There's always the ring that you can dunk and that kills the bad guy for some weird magical reason. Like, there's no real reason that it kills the bad guy.
Deus Ex Machina.
Always. That's exactly correct.
What do they call it? They call it a Chekhov's gun.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Chekhov's gun is part of that, yeah. Deus Ex Machina is exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
But, God in the machine.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
If you guys could see, like, the continuation of any of the multiverses they set up, which one would you want to see the most?
Well, how many of them ended where there was any possibility of anything else to happen? So the first one did.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Star-Lord,
that was pretty cool.
All right, the first, second, the third one, that could have been cool actually seeing.
Which one was that?
That was the one where Hank Pym was continuously killing off the Avengers.
Steel trap brains like you, so we don't.
Not anymore.
The one where Hank Pym was killing all the Avengers, and like we could have seen like Captain America and Captain Marvel going up against Loki.
Right.
That would have been cool.
Right.
Fourth one, Oh, well, we kind of saw the continuation of that.
So,
There's not
okay,
much there.
again, don't say
one was
fourth
which
one.
one?
Which one was
Doctor
it?
Strange one.
Thank you.
So,
Zombie one would
so
have
we
been
kind of so that one ended. Like that one ended
Yeah,
in
that one's
the
done.
death of
That
the
one's done.
universe, and with Doctor Strange living in limbo, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
So
The
we
fifth
did see
one-
the continuation of that one.
Fifth
Fifth one was.
I would have loved to see the zombie one. I would have loved to see them fight Zombie Thanos.
But again, that ended right. So zombie.
No.
What was
Did
it? What
it?
happened at the end of zombie one?
The
They were
zombie.
going to Wakanda, and then it was just a zoom in of Zombie Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he was gonna crush. So
Yeah,
but that would have been cool to see. Yeah.
So, and one of the things that I loved about that episode is it took it actually went into the Marvel zombie verse.
yeah.
And it borrowed some cues directly from it.
Yeah, of course.
Which blew me away when you find T'Challa and he's his leg is being eaten because
Yeah.
So in the comic in the show you had Scott Lang's head in the jar.
Yep.
In the comic it is Zombie Wasp's head in a jar.
Right.
And the whole reason they've got T'Challa there is because they're taking little bits of his leg off and feeding it to Zombie Wasp to keep her alive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, that's T'Challa with one leg.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. So I dug on that.
Boosh, if you will.
And a
Let's
moose
see.
boosh.
Episode 6, that was the one. That was the Killmonger episode. We saw the end of that.
Right.
How did
7
that one end?
That one ended with Shuri teaming up with Gwyneth Paltrow's
Yeah.
character.
Because it was
Pepper.
going to be
That's it.
the attack, and then
Yeah.
and then we saw the end of that in this episode.
Yep. And then 7 was
Because then he disappeared, right?
7 was just Dude Bro Thor partying it up in Vegas.
Right.
Right.
That one, honestly, I just kind of want to see all those parties across the galaxy.
I'd want to see more of the zombie verse, and I'd want to see more of the Killmonger.
I want to see more of the Captain Carter.
I mean,
honestly.
Captain Carter, I thought was
Yeah.
And like,
Do you think
was
if
my
Thor
favorite.
goes over to Jotunheim, like there's like a vodka ice castle type thing?
but,
I think there are multiple.
trivia for you guys.
Mead though, not vodka. Mead.
Oh,
Where-
He's a big mead guy. Yeah.
Where did Peggy Carter as Captain America first make her first appearance?
What?
You're talking to the wrong guy.
And you talk about Captain Britain?
No, Peggy Carter has taken the mantle
Carter.
of Captain America before this show. Do you know where?
No.
Do you know her first appearance as Captain America?
Lego video game.
Wrong.
Okay.
Coach Orr.
Fucking phone app. Marvel Puzzle Quest. They
Okay.
literally just added her.
This
as
kid loves it.
Peggy Carter. That's actually what I was researching earlier in the stream when you told me that.
Well, no, I'm just saying the fucking mobile app.
Yeah, and then she did get her own comic where it was like apparently Blink was traveling through the multiverse, I don't know, picking up misfits for a team or something, and she picked up Peggy Carter as Captain America. And she did
Nice.
appear in Lego Marvel Superheroes too, which was cool.
Nice.
And then of course you have What If Captain Carter.
Right. Speaking of, I finished cataloging my comics last weekend.
Yes. I heard the preamble at the store.
Don't say how much. They may try and break in and steal our stuff.
Well, they won't. My wife might knock me off in order to sell
Well,
them.
it's not $100,000, so you're probably okay.
Yeah, the life insurance is worth more, but
Right.
So yeah, I mean, random comics that I'm blinking and it's like, why the hell? What if Peter Parker had become the Punisher? Was one of them? Yeah, I've got that one, and it's like a $30 book.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
Wait,
what?
does he still have like the Spider-Man powers or?
So look
Yeah.
it up on your phone. What if Peter Parker became the Punisher?
Yeah,
You can
use
see
that
the
phone.
cover.
Usually they just merge the two, so yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps all of his Spider-Man stuff, and suddenly, for some reason, he wants to kill all the bad guys. He's a vigilante. as
yeah, he
opposed
becomes
to
a vigilante.
Instead of friendly look. Imagine, I mean, Spider-Man is one of the more powerful. I mean, you can say that, but the thing that makes me crazy about comic books,
Yeah.
almost every single character you can say, well, you know, he's one of the more powerful ones. Like, no, everybody's one of the more powerful ones. Scarlet Witch or Captain Marvel or
That's the
Spider-Man.
thing.
Or
You know, how, like
it
a
doesn't
Dragon
matter.
Ball's got like power levels and all that bullshit.
Right, it's all baloney, right? Because you could comic book anything into anything,
Right. Well, it all depends. How powerful is he? As powerful as the writer needs him to be.
Exactly correct.
Yeah.
Like, Spider-Man could kill anybody because what they learned was that Spider-Man has always pulled every punch he's ever thrown ever.
Right.
Like if he really wanted to, And one time he became evil because, of course, there was a comic book where he became evil.
Of course.
He killed everybody with a punch. Like, all right,
in the comic books, Squirrel Girl beat Thanos in a fight.
Right.
Yep.
Well, isn't Squirrel Girl like legit, like top 5 beyond, other than like the Beyonders and the Eternities? And
No, she's not.
Squirrel Girl is supposed to be the most powerful of powerfuls.
No.
I've heard that though.
No, she talks to. She's got a pet squirrel.
I know. But
actually,
but that's because she's not understood. She's from a different reality or something.
Okay, here's what I really want to know.
This is why comic books sometimes make
I've been
me go,
waiting.
That's just stupid.
Ratcatcher 2 or Squirrel Girl?
I'm going Squirrel Girl. She's more fun.
I'm gonna say.
And
Squirrel Girl in the Lego games had a freaking Squirrel Buster, which was a squirrel-themed Hulk Buster. So that's
Could
pretty
Squirrel
cool.
Girl send a bunch of squirrels through the eyeball of Starro?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. And they recently leaked pictures from the abandoned New Warriors show, where they had Lily, the AT&T girl.
Yeah.
She was Squirrel Girl, dressed up with the ears and the tail.
Her name is Melania Von Trub.
Yeah, they just dropped that. Yeah. That would have been interesting. So, anyway, I just thought I'd drop that.
All right.
So,
more what if.
More what if.
You were about to ask something?
were we? Let me ask you a question. Were we shocked at the end that they tied it all together? Because I didn't.
No, I was expecting that.
See,
I
didn't
haven't
because
fully
I'm not,
seen it,
I'm
but
not a
I have no.
comic guy.
I am shocked. I thought it was going to be a bunch of one-offs.
Right.
I did too.
Because that's exactly what the comics are. The comics are literally, they don't, you never get a continuation of a what if story. It's always, and the thing is, they are always taking like, oh, we're going to take this 6 comic book arc and we're going to condense it down and say, what if it went differently, and we're going to do it in a more condensed fashion. Most of the what if comics are not great. It's where they put it's like, well, let's see if this new guy can write or draw something, and we're going to put them on this book and see what they can do. But it's never a continuing story. It's always, and it always feels very, as fast paced as a comic can be, especially when you consider comics of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? In the 90s, things changed to where they opened it up, and then as the 2000s rolled around, they started writing for the trade. So instead of, I really feel that each individual comic nowadays contains less story than a comic did 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah, because people can't, I mean, it's just like movies, right?
No.
Here's what I say. I think a lot of
people have short attention span. Oh, look, a shoe.
Well, no, that's not true. I was reading the Dr. Afra comics. I read like 40-something issues in a row. Back to back. I will say there was a lot more psychological thought and conversations, and less crazy actions. Like, there are some comics out there that have become more conversational and more about relationships than overall plot arcs.
So here's the thing.
It just depends on the comic. That's all I'm trying to say.
But what you have now is, it used to be you had the 9-panel pages. You had 9 panels over 22 pages to tell a story. And you would get, it was rare. It was unbelievably rare that you had a 6-issue arc. Your arcs were 2 to 3 issues. But you were still telling the same amount of story as comics are today, telling in 7 or 8 issues.
Right.
Because
they're not 9-panel comics.
They're not 9-panel comics.
You get a whole page of art, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
as artists, and that's the thing. Think about comics from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You always had the exposition from the editor. It's like, meanwhile, across the city, and then you had thought bubbles. It's like, what is it? You don't have any of that anymore. It's all pictures and dialogue. And sometimes you might have 2 panels on a page or 3 panels on a page. There are less panels. There's fewer words on the page to convey the information. And I love the art, but the stories, it feels like they're writing for the trade, right? The trade collects 6, 7, 8 issues. That's how long they've got to tell their one story. Whereas back in the day, it really felt like you had a lot.
It's always been a
lot more story
because it's an art form and it's a storytelling device.
Oh, absolutely!
It's always been a weird balance. And I've, as a very, very casual comic book reader and collector over the years, that balance is very important to me in that I'm much more I want a cool story with awesome art.
Right.
That's what I want. Like,
Yeah.
I've never gotten into like black and white art, super crunchy, very story driven comics. Because if I want a story, I'm just going to read a book. Like if I'm going to look at crappy art with a really good story, I'm just going to read a story with no art because I want I want a better story. You know what I'm saying? But I understand and appreciate that, you know, Walking Dead is a story that got the story was enhanced by the black and white kind of line art that is its trademark, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, it's become wildly popular. I get why people enjoy that. That was just never for me. I love the super crazy, wild, amazing artwork, but I want a little bit of story in there, right?
I will read it for this. Like, I find myself sometimes like not looking at the art and just I'm reading the panels. So like it's weird. Like, I would read a book if this author had written it, but the only medium that he was given was a comic book.
Right.
So.
And you know, one of the reasons I love the What If, to kind of bring it around a little bit, is because you get an episodic television story with some really interesting and unique art.
Yeah.
I really do dig the animation style.
I did too.
For the What If stuff.
I really did.
I can be because again, I'm not a huge fan of all. I don't love the kind of Japanese animation manga style, or not manga, but anime style. I'm not a huge
for Star Wars Visions.
I've never even seen one episode of that, and I'm not going to. So
Yeah,
I don't like the anime stuff. I don't read manga. I don't like.
You pronounced both those wrong.
I've been told that's the way to pronounce both of those. So, anime is how it should be pronounced, and manga.
Okay, but you said manga before.
Anime.
Manga.
It's like it's pronouncing every vowel.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say anything right. I'm just making things
That's
up.
all right.
I'm just making things
Oh,
up.
speaking of
But anyway, my point is I really liked because I felt that What If kind of split the difference, right?
Yes.
It was not what's a great example of animation that's realistic. So not like Clone Wars is a good example of
Rebels.
you said Star Wars and Joy jumped into that. Well, I know this one.
No. You were saying realistic, and I was thinking, let's try
Rebels
3D
more
stuff.
realistic than because the one what's
Rebels is more realistic than
what's
Clone
the one
Wars.
that has the kid with the hair that I hate?
That's Rebels.
That's Rebels. I hate that. I can't handle that.
Wait, kid with the hair that you hate?
He's got hair, and I can't watch it because I hate his hair. I hate Ezra's hair.
He cuts it.
Okay, well, I hate his hair.
He does cut it eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, do you happen to have Darth Vader #3, the first appearance of Dr. Aphra?
Wow.
You?
I don't.
Sidebar.
How much is it?
Raw, it's going for $138.
Woof.
And bagged and tagged and graded at
Well, graded would be a lot different.
Graded $367 at a 9.8.
Actually,
At a 9.8 though. That's the thing. It's hard to get those comics graded that high.
Well, but that's the thing. Now with pressing, because people are buying I'm about to buy one. Because they're pressing them before they grade them, because you can remove, especially from modern books.
But can't they tell if a book has been pressed?
They
Does
don't
that matter?
care.
They don't care.
Okay, what for the?
It's considered
Idiots like me,
conservation as opposed to restoration.
I know bag and boarded. What's pressing?
So pressing, you buy
You literally press.
Right.
It's like
So
pressing
You
a
put
suit.
you put a
It's like
heavier
pressing
book
a
on
suit.
top of it.
Yeah.
No. You go and you buy
It's a
a
machine.
t-shirt press.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
I'm about to do it because I've got books that have minor defects on the cover.
Okay.
That if you press them out, now I could spend.
What are you talking about pressing them?
All right,
like
so-
what kind of deep? Like
Okay.
No.
No.
How do you
I'll explain.
Can you take a
I will
crease out of a
explain.
book
Yes.
with
What's
the
up?
t-shirt?
Yes.
what's up?
They're going to talk about
As
pressing.
as long as it does not break the color. So if you've got a crease where you see a white line,
Yes.
Ready?
you're done.
1,
Okay.
2, 3.
I thought we were doing that.
1, 2, 3,
differently.
shoot.
I'm legitimately
Okay, 1, 2, 3,
interested
shoot.
in this.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
Dang it.
I win. What? No, you guys are supposed to keep talking while we do. This is what we're doing while you guys talk.
Fascinating.
So here's
So essentially, what you do is you buy a T-shirt press and you stack boards and whatnot in the comics in a very specific way in order to you put a magazine board at the center to protect from the staples because it's the same
Yes,
thickness as the
obviously.
staples. But then you warm up the press. Actually, for older books, you actually humidify the books.
I was just going to ask, is there a
Holy
steam
fuck.
element of this?
There
I was
can
gonna
be.
say, why don't
Because
you
it's
just
a-
iron the damn books?
Because it's paper, and so I would have just like you steam cloth.
Right.
Paper is it's a mush, right? So
Right.
you kind of can steam the paper and get rid of the wrinkles.
Yes.
How do people? Okay, so how are people like not scamming others? Because once you press and bag and board the book, like do people actually open up these things, or they lose value immediately? 'Cause,
No,
like,
no,
You could shove like
Well,
baked
once
paper in
something
there.
is graded, if you crack that grade,
Right.
you've lost the grade, right?
Right. That's
Yeah.
exactly. In fact,
Because a graded comic is sealed, correct?
Joey, go over there and
This is
grab my 2 graded books.
I do not own any graded
Wait,
anything.
which one?
They're on the shelf. It's Incredible Hulk 340 and Daredevil. It's right there. You can't miss them. They're the big plastic slabs on the shelf. So what they do is when you send it to be graded, the grader actually takes a look. He makes sure that all the pages are present.
Yeah.
He makes sure that there's nothing defaced. And then they grade it based on its appearance. Are the pages white? Are they off-white? Have they yellowed? Are there defects? And they go through and they mark every
Staples,
defect.
centering.
Right. Oh, the centering is the one thing, unless you've got a rolled comic where the staples have rolled toward the front.
Yeah.
If the comic book is cut a little bit crooked, but it's that way from the manufacturer, that's
You know
a
how many-
manufacturer's defect.
How many perfect folds and like
Yes.
saddle stitch
Yes.
shit that I have
Sorry,
designed?
they're big plastic slabs. How can you not see that?
Dear Joey,
Next
open
page,
your
next shelf
eyeballs.
down. What on the?
It's gonna take you 2 seconds to go to that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do this.
We
Excuse
used
me.
to
a
call it
moment.
the 4-second game.
Yeah.
I'll play with my kids. In 4 seconds, I can find that thing you said you couldn't find.
I don't know. I struggle with this, Todd, because like a bag and boarded and graded thing, like you're never gonna be able to read it.
Well, that's not.
They were in plastic bags.
That's the point.
Okay.
You're not supposed to. Anything that you're going to grade, you're not going
I
to
know,
ever read again.
but
Right.
like you can't
It's an
enjoy.
investment at that point.
Right.
You've already enjoyed it.
And yes, and the 2 books that I have, the one I got, I actually bought this at already graded at a 9.4, and I wanted to get it signed because both Peter David and Todd McFarlane were going to be at Wizard World
So is that signed on the book or on the case?
on the book.
And then you had it graded after that.
So what?
Or it was graded after that.
So what CGC will do is they will send a witness. But you notice that one of these has got a blue tag and one's got a yellow. The blue means that's a 9.8. It's the top grade that CGC really gives out.
There's blue and yellow.
Blue is just a standard book. Yellow means it's an authentic autograph that they witnessed. So when I got that book, I took it to the CGC booth at Wizard World. I had them break the slab open, and I had them walk over to Todd McFarlane's table with me. They witnessed his
they do
signature.
that.
Yep.
It's kind of their deal, huh?
Yeah.
Did they spray paint themselves silver?
No.
Say witness me.
Witness me.
No. And then they charged me another $5 to walk across the aisle to go to Peter David and witness Peter David autographing it. And then they take possession of the book. And what they actually do is once they take
Replace
possession,
it with the fake, and then they
no, they put it into a bag that then gets sealed and says, "Do not open until the grading table," so that it will arrive. They know it hasn't been tampered since the witness witnessed the autograph.
So that's the highest level of highest levels,
Yes.
right? But it's still got a 9.4.
It
so
isn't-
did they tell you why it got a 9.4 as
So-
opposed to a 10.0?
So I can go online and request. I can pay $5 and I can get the grader's notes.
Gotcha.
All right. Now here's the thing. Supposedly they have given a few 10.0s. I've never seen one in the wild.
Right.
9.8 is
as good as
considered
it
gem
gets,
mint.
yeah.
Right. But here's the thing. And
I
this is the
want a
thing-
grader to accidentally like add a defect to something.
But I
he's
mean,
grading.
again, all my experience comes from Magic cards.
Right.
But I can just look at the top of this and go, okay, this is almost 100% crisp, except for you can see a little white
Yep.
Yeah.
on the page, pretty much all the way across the top. Now, does that mean it's bad? No. Is it perfect? No.
Right. And the thing is, there are acceptable levels of
there's the
defense.
tiniest little
And
white
that
glitch
Think about
right
the
there.
journey from the binder
Right, exactly.
to the store, like through
Right.
the mail, and like, have you
But,
seen what a delivery?
But I mean,
driver
just
does?
and I haven't looked even. I obviously haven't cracked the book, but I
Right.
mean, just to look on the outside. If I could just say, by the way, take command and Corinne. This is a Dungeons and Dragons. I have this book. It's like awesome. This is my world right here.
Right.
D&D and the TSR and the D&D on the back of this is much of the reason why I would collect comics, because they still advertise D&D and stuff like that
So-
on the back of the comic books. They still
But here's the
advertise
fun thing.
Dragonlance and Kryn.
Inside of this big plastic case, this hard plastic case,
hard plastic.
the book is actually hermetically sealed in a what they call it the well.
Right.
So it's in a sealed plastic shell inside the sealed plastic shell. 9.8 is considered the gold standard, and it drives me crazy because the difference between 9.8 comics and I could do a whole show on this now. The difference between a 9.8 and a 9.6 in reality is minute. You can see this is a 9.4.
Like you couldn't even see it.
Right.
Really.
I will promise you that chip is what got it the 9.4 as opposed to a 9.0.
Right.
There is a you have to look very closely in the light. There's a very minor
scratch or a dent or something.
A little, they call it a tick.
Yeah.
And it's from, it's these things along the edge from opening it up, and then the paper stresses.
Right.
So I can see one of the tiniest little ticks right there on the back. Let's see if it's on the front. It doesn't even cross over to the front. And that's on the bag. So yeah. So that tick
and that can happen
chip,
from literally opening it once or none.
Yep.
Right? It could just be there.
but it's a 9.4. A
Right.
9.4 out of a 10. That is a fantastic. If I got a 94% on my math test, I'm friggin' happy.
That's not an A minus. That's an A.
But there are people out there who literally want to deal in nothing. If it's not 9.8, it's shit.
Right.
And that's insane to me.
Right.
This is, and even this you can see. If you take a look here, and I'll show it to everybody at home, right along that edge, it's not perfectly straight because you can see a little bit of the pages.
A little
peeking out.
kind of goes in and out, right?
Right, but that does. It's not even that it goes in and out. The pages just
Yeah, it's
Go a
not
little bit
quite.
further.
Yeah.
and on the back too. So that just means that that's a little bit small. But the whole reason this one pisses me off because I was supposed to get this one autographed by Loeb and Sale, and it was one of the rare times where I said, you know what, I'm just going to leave it with CGC. I'm like, you guys have signings with these guys at the show. Go ahead and have them sign this, grade it, and send it to me. They said, okay. They called me a week after the show. By the way,
We didn't get it.
we didn't get it signed. Do you still want us to grade this? I'm like, God damn it. And this is
Those
the
people should be paying for the missed opportunity.
yeah, exactly. No,
Sure.
no, they make no guarantees. But I still got it graded. I'm like, what the hell? You've got it, and it's a cheap ass book too. That's the thing that pisses me off.
Right.
And that 9.8 for that book draws like
$120?
$50 if you're lucky, and the grading cost me $35.
It was a
With shipping.
$3.50 book, so
Yeah.
Anywho, back to what if.
Oh my God.
And actually,
All right, so here, what do you think the most valuable issue of What If is? What story do you think it would be?
No, well, let me ask before you answer that. Were all of the comic book what ifs represented in the What If series?
No, in fact, very few of them were.
Okay, I didn't know if there was like if it was a
actually
big long
had-
thing or there was only like 8 issues.
So the
Actually,
funny
I
thing
had-
is, no.
what?
Go ahead, Joey. My God.
I actually had a different question, and what would you guys think of getting a Star Wars What If show?
It's called Visions, and
No, but like,
with all the neckbeards out there that can't handle the fact that
There's that.
things that don't jive with their preconceptions, I never want a What If.
well,
So actually, and it exists in comic book form.
It does.
yeah, I know, but like, so did the Marvel What If stuff, and I
Right.
want to see a series, like, especially since now we have much more material to make alternate universes from. Like, what if Anakin killed Palpatine instead of Windu in The Office, or like, I don't know,
so
what if the
I think with the
Mandalorian
Marvel-
left Baby Yoda there?
I'll give you a less
Sure.
snippy answer. I guess with the Marvel thing is, like, multiverses are built as a structure of the show. It's organic. In other words, with the Doctor Strange with the Scarlet Witch and stuff, it's not just a hypothetical question. It's a possible universe that happened because of the genesis of a character's power, I guess. I guess if you were doing it as a Star Wars universe, like, there's no construct in that universe that allows for multiverses right now, and it just feels like a
Well,
hypothetical.
actually, the world between worlds.
Well, that's. I mean,
Kinda.
you could go there.
Or also,
So I've
we
been
could-
watching Star Wars since I was 8 and never heard of that. So
It's,
what's that?
It's
It's
you won't
it's
like
in
this.
Star
It
Wars
was
Rebels.
introduced in Rebels, but basically it's like basically it's like this weird point beyond space and time that actually allows you to like view doorways of different points in time. Like, it's actually how Ahsoka is still alive, because Ezra saved her by pulling her into the world between worlds before the temple exploded.
Using the Force.
No, like, he physically went through the portal, yanked her arm, and pulled her in.
If you watched it, it's fascinating.
It makes more sense in context of the show.
Yeah.
So, What If was the comic series started. The first ones came out in '76.
Oh, I didn't realize it was
Yeah. So the very first What If comic was a premise from one of the early Spider-Man issues. What if Spider-Man had joined the Fantastic Four?
Oh, yeah!
That's not really much of a stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
That actually got added as a skin to the Spider-Man PS4 game, but like, instead of having like this weird mask, it's literally just a paper bag.
That's what's known as the bombastic bag man.
Yeah, exactly.
And they did that to him because
I thought that actually
Couldn't have
happened
him.
in one of the comics.
it did. The bag on the head. He went to try out to be in the Fantastic Four. That's what it was. He's like, you should hire me. What if Hulk had the brain of Bruce Banner?
Professor Hulk.
Well, that's yeah.
Yep, and that's
before Professor Banner, I'm assuming.
That's the funny thing is, so many of these have become stories.
Well, it's a good thought.
Things like, let's see. What if someone else besides Spider-Man had been bitten by the radioactive spider? What if the world knew that Daredevil is blind?
Oh, the world doesn't know that?
No.
Ooh,
See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait,
The most valuable of all of them, though, is what if Jane Foster had found the hammer of Thor? So ever since the announcement,
that one's been skyrocketing.
Which again they've brought back full circle and
Right.
actually doing, and that was there was a Jane Foster Thor before. Years ago anyway.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. A couple of years ago, I think it was Donny Cates, or
Was it Jane Foster that became Thor, or was
yes,
it just a woman?
yeah, no. It turned out that the woman under the mask, it took you 5 issues to find out, was Jane Foster. And then all of a sudden, that What If book just shot through the roof.
I actually do have an idea for our Marvel What If. What if Mary Jane got bit by the spider?
She's been a superhero. What if Doctor Strange were a disciple of Dormammu?
Well, wait a minute. Who's Spider Gwen? I thought
That's Gwen Stacy.
She's Gwen Stacy.
wasn't she Spider-Man's girlfriend?
Yes, but
She had two.
I remember Mary Jane because when I read the Spider-Man comic for a very short period of time, it was Mary Jane.
So Gwen Stacy, they killed her off in issue 121. She got and then that's when after that is when Peter and Mary Jane became a thing.
Gotcha.
But
then in the McFarlane Spider-Man,
Yep.
it was Mary Jane. Right?
Yes, and they were married at that point. By that
yeah.
point, they got married in the mid '80s.
That was the first Spider-Man that
I actually
ever got
remember,
into.
like, there was that one show that like Kevin Smith was on where it's like, it's kind of like that Pawn Stars show, but it's with comic books and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That one
Secret
dude,
Stash.
one dude came in with his girlfriend, and he wanted to buy the issue where Spider-Man and Mary Jane got married, and he literally used that issue to propose to his girlfriend. Right
Why
there
are you
in the
talking like this?
store.
Relax, dude. I get you excited. Relax.
Excited.
I know. Sorry.
Hey.
Yes, that was a thing. I owned both copies of
great.
it. I owned both copies of that book before I sold my collection. The thing that kills me,
Comic book man.
yes,
Yeah,
comic book
comic
man.
book man, yeah.
The regret I have over the selling of my comics when I did and the amount of money that I got for them. Now I got a fair price for 1991,
Right.
but it makes me cry now because I was actually, as I was going through my comics, I was thumbing through them and I was taking a look at the Mile High Comics out in Denver. Hey, we've got ads for Mile High Comics. You can order all these
I've
books.
actually seen those guys at conventions.
Yeah, so have I. And at the time, in 1985, 86, about right the time when I was collecting, I'm like, oh, look. Hey, I could have bought Incredible Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine, for $30. And that's about what I spent for mine. Do you have any idea what that book goes for now? And when I sold mine, I got $200 for it. So I was happy.
So it's worth $2,400 now.
Let's look it up on Cover Price. Because I have it right here.
What? So we've had our own what if.
So
what if Tony didn't sell something back in the day?
Oh God!
Raw, $517.
Wow.
Okay. Graded.
8.5 8.0.
Okay.
$8,028. Now, I just
Rated
read...
at 9.4.
Graded at 9.4. Fair market value is estimated at $29,507.
So
Highest sale of a 9.4.
So Zuckerberg's couch cushion change.
Highest grade of a 9.4 went for $50,000. 9.8. Highest sale, $86,000.
So basically, whatever Jeff Bezos
Can make
spends
it
to buy
like a
toilet
second.
Yeah,
spends to buy toilet paper.
I'll give you 50 cents and all the paint you can eat.
I'll take it.
Wait, did you say all the paint you can eat?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God.
Mine was probably in a 6.5. That
Wait, that's
only
how
goes
much
for
is
about
life
70.
insurance?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 5,800 average. Let's you know what? Let's take a look at Hulk 181 or 180 because I like to torture myself.
Yep.
Ooh, wait.
We've entered the Tony torturing himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think we should get a DC one?
God damn it.
I think we should wrap it up.
Those are called Elseworld stories, and that's how
That's
you
fair,
get.
yeah.
That's how you get Red Sun Superman. What
Yeah.
if Superman landed in Russia instead of America?
Oh, I saw
That's
that.
fair.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite.
Long
Some of that
Halloween
stuff is
Part
fun,
2
yeah.
is out.
Oh yeah,
I watched them back to back.
I actually
yesterday.
saw a Blu-ray for that at Meyer, but I figured we should pick up the 4K. You know.
Sure.
Or you could just
Wait,
watch
what?
it on
What'd
HBO.
you
and
So,
see if you like it.
one of my there's a great Batman story called Batman: The Long Halloween.
Wow.
It takes place right after Batman's first year as you had Batman Year One, and then it rolls into Long Halloween. It takes place over a year. There's something called someone is killing people on the holidays. They dubbed him the Holiday Killer.
Not to be
And
confused
so-
with Calendar Man.
Oh no,
Right.
it is Calendar.
What do you mean?
Man.
No, it's not.
Oh,
No, it is absolutely not Calendar Man.
Uh-huh.
That's the
That's what they want.
that's
that
what
sounds like Calendar Man.
the red herring.
That is the red herring right there.
It's an illusion.
The cast, the
It's also
voice
a
cast
delicious
is
type
amazing.
of fish.
I fooled you and you don't like it.
I will say this is the one.
Was that a reference? No.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, but no.
Please tell
don't
me
worry
that the
about
Holiday Killer was Polka Dot
Isn't
Man.
that-
That would be
isn't that Young Ones?
hilarious.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, what do you mean it's not
He's
a
never gonna know
reference?
what it is.
Yeah, I know he won't.
I'm not
But dude, please tell me the Holiday Killer is Polka Dot Man. That would
I'm
be
not.
hilarious.
I'm not telling you anything about it. Vivian, why don't you throw the toilet out the window to lower the rent?
Yes, we could have young ones.
We'd lose these two.
Yeah, I know.
Have you ever watched the Young Ones?
The young ones. I've only seen a few episodes,
It's
but I know
it's
what
Monty
you're talking about.
Python in the 80s.
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah,
basically
absolutely.
all this, Yeah.
Four
It's all this.
British roommates that could. You had the punk. You had the new wave anarchist.
Yep.
You had the hippie.
Yep.
And then you had the sleazeball.
Yep. The preppy.
The preppy sleazeball.
Mark
It was so
Hamill
much
actually
fun.
loves the young ones.
Oh,
I hear him talk
everybody
about-
should love the Young Ones.
Yes. Yes.
The Young Ones were made
Hey.
to be loved.
Is
Sketch
the
Valley.
Holiday Killer Scarecrow?
No, I'm not.
Are you just gonna go through
I'm
Batman's
just-
rogue out? I guarantee you.
You will never
I will
guess
bet
it.
you
Let's
all
be
the money.
honest, Scarecrow would make sense.
It's Roman Sionis. No,
I
it's
will
not.
bet you $1 right now that you don't guess who.
Jason Todd. Wait, no, not Jason Todd.
Put it right here.
No.
I'll bet you
is it the
$50,000.
Is it the Joker?
So help me God, if I go and watch it and it's Calendar Man on that cartoon,
I will tell you this: they did not do what they did with the previous animated movie.
Is it the
Where they
Riddler?
changed the Riddler.
Okay, good.
They did not.
Is
do
it
that.
Instead of having it be actually, Hush, they made it the Riddler.
Is it
What?
Catwoman?
No one here is gonna guess it.
I'm out of Batman
It's okay.
villains. I don't know very much.
Anyway,
Is it Mr. Freeze?
Mr. Freeze. Is it Poison Ivy?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
I'm out of
stop
Batman.
talking now.
Never.
Just stop.
Yes, sir.
It's Killer Croc.
Anyway,
really?
so this kind of went off the rails, kind of.
Oh
well,
yeah.
Well,
I
that's
wasn't
what we
ever
do.
on the
this
rails.
show, man.
That's what we do.
Help me! We weren't even on the rails.
We barely saw the rails.
This show grabbed the third rail.
Yeah,
That's
it
what we
really
fucking did.
really
We
did.
pulled a Polar Express and just Tokyo
No,
drifted the
no, no.
We
train.
should have grabbed the third
No,
rail.
we did grab the third rail. we pissed on the third rail. That's what we did.
think we went to the multiverse. That's
Polar
what happened.
Express and Tokyo drifted the train.
So, getting back to What If for just a couple of quick thoughts before we finally wrap it up.
Yes, of course.
So, one of the cool things that Joey made me realize, because we were talking about this on the way home from Venom, is, Marvel they kill way too many of their bad guys. I mean, they literally kill them.
They kill potential.
Yeah.
And we got talking about this, and then I realized they open up the door to the multiverse. That means nobody has to be dead anymore.
Because it's a comic book.
Right.
Nobody's
Well, I
ever
mean,
dead
that's
in
a
comic
story
books.
with all comic books, right?
Nobody's
Nobody
ever dead in comic
dies.
books.
Right.
Luke Skywalker.
Right.
No one's ever really gone.
But you've got to find a way that doesn't make me roll my eyes. And so, and Venom is terrible. Just so you know,
Can I say with the exception of Tony Stark?
Yeah.
The idea now is that Tony Stark's death is a point in time. It cannot be changed.
A fixed
Tony
point in time.
died 5 times in the What If, 4 or 5 times in the What Ifs.
3.
No,
I
more
believe.
than 3. I think it was at least 4. I think.
Let's see. He died.
I mean, that
Let's
is
see.
called Robert Downey Jr.'s contract. That's why
And
it's
that's
a
kind of
fixed
my point, and that's why
He died in episode 3.
At least 3.
Okay. The exact number is irrelevant. He died
never
a lot.
survived.
Right. Here's the thing, and it's one of the speculations that's causing one particular comic to shoot through the roof in value because nobody has anything better to do with their time than guess what comic books are going to shoot up in value.
Right.
So right now, the infamous Iron Man #1, where Doctor Doom becomes Iron Man in the comics.
Oh boy.
But he gets an AI that is Tony Stark. The belief is when the Ironheart show drops,
They're gonna
they're going to have Robert Downey Jr. record the voice of the AI, and you're going to have
be Jarvis himself.
Yes.
essentially.
I heard that a long time
That'd be
ago.
pretty
yeah.
cool.
So he won't be in the movie, but his voice. Will
Well,
be.
Disney
Right.
just settled out of court with
Scarlett
Scarlett Johansson.
Yep.
So I'm telling you, the answer is how much is Disney willing to pay?
Well,
That's
even-
the possibility.
Yeah, and even that is not really outside the realm of reality. Peter Jackson did all of the Lord of the Rings movies, and then immediately sued New Line Cinema because he felt he didn't.
Oh, the accounting practices at movies
it's just
are atrocious.
Every big guy,
Yes.
big wig sues everybody. Like it's not
Well,
that
Also,
unusual.
so
And
go
then they
ahead.
still made more movies, and then they made 3 more movies together.
Right.
So it was not a big deal at all.
I did not know we were getting an Ironheart show. I wonder if they're also gonna. If we're getting Ironheart, do you think we're also gonna get Vision's daughter Viv? Apparently, there was another android that got made that was.
Not yet. That's
Vision's daughter.
nowhere. Yeah, Ironheart. They're saying that Riri Williams is going to make an appearance in Black Panther 2, and that's going to lead directly into the Ironheart TV
She's actually
show.
going to be in the Hawkeye show first.
Oh, is she? I did not know that part.
And that's
I
going to
only
lead into
Black Panther 2.
I
and
only-
And
Probably-
then does that become? Wasn't there a new Avengers and then also a Dark Avengers?
the Dark Avengers. So Dark Avengers is what
the
happened.
Thunder Team or
Yeah,
Thunderbolts
with Norman.
That's kind of the Dark Avengers.
Osborn, right? You had a Young Avengers, which featured Kate Bishop as Hawkeye.
Right.
You had Scott Lang's daughter became Stature, who was
Yep.
the giant girl.
Yep.
You had the young black Patriot was the young black Captain America.
Yep.
You had Iron Lad, who was the Iron Man.
Could
So
easily be Ironheart.
Ironheart for that. But I think we're also. I'm very curious to see what happens in the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, Far From Home.
Far From Home. Part of me hopes we're going to see a live action Miles cameo in that
Hell yeah, man!
because
because that's the one thing nobody's really talked about, and that's what they love to do is throw one little even if it's like you might get a Tobey Maguire. Just like not as Spider-Man, just you might get him
Right.
as a cameo walk by.
Yeah.
But it would be super awesome. It'd be way cooler, I
Right.
think, in my
Well-
opinion, to see an actual live action Miles.
That's how you
I don't care
expand
about
your,
Tobey
that's how
Maguire.
you expand your
I would
demographics.
love to see a Miles as a live action character.
so. And here's the fun thing: in the first Spider-Man movie, Donald Glover's character
Aaron
the uncle.
Davis
is
the Prowler.
He's the Prowler who's
Right.
who's Miles' uncle.
right.
Yep.
So you've already kind of set
it.
that seed in there.
Right.
And not to mention, this is going to be like the third interpretation of the character in mainstream media.
Yeah. So and it dumbfounds me. I mean, I have almost every Miles Morales appearance up until 2019 when I kind of slowed down and stopped buying new books because I started spending money a lot of money in a game store, and I had to pick my poison.
Crap dealers. We don't know which game store it is because someone's not advertising it.
Oh yeah.
It's on your
phone case you
screen.
got there. There we go.
It's right at the bottom of our screen as well.
Yeah, that's it.
I was being a dick to the
I know,
But,
but
anyway.
I had no idea. This is how old I've gotten. It's been 10 years since that character was introduced. I had no friggin' idea that it's been that long. For me, it's like
Seems like it was just a couple years ago.
yeah, it's like what he's been around. What?
And I'm
2-3
excited
years now?
about that. And then what does that bring in? That brings in Kingpin. I'm super excited about a potential Daredevil Kingpin.
Oh,
dude, I loved the Daredevil show. Oh my god! And I thought
I am almost through season 3.
I thought Jessica Jones was great.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jones was awesome.
That's my personal favorite.
Holy cow, so good! Like
the first season of Jessica Jones is by and far the best.
Unbelievable, so good.
But and I get it. Kilgrave is an amazing villain. He made that show. But God damn it, D'Onofrio's Kingpin. He's so threatening with just.
He just is Kingpin. When I'm watching the multiverse
Into the Spider-Verse,
the cartoon, I'm picturing D'Onofrio as Kingpin because he's so good.
Yeah, even if you took away the muscles, this dude would probably still be intimidating just because he already knows your name, your billing address, and what you had for breakfast that morning.
Yeah, they filmed it so well. He's a big guy anyway, but they filmed it so brilliantly. They just edited it so great to make him look like an imposing. Yeah, he doesn't because in the again, and don't go too far. Daredevil as a TV show was great. It was just great. And D'Onofrio was great, and the Daredevil guy was great, and the fight scenes were great. And nobody will tell me that that's not one of the best superhero things I've ever seen in my life.
Ever. And I do love how in season 3 they finally gave Kingpin his comic colors.
Right.
I only wish that they had lightened up Matt Murdock's character a little bit.
Maybe.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
He needs to have that. In fact, I was talking about this with Jesse.
Right.
He's the puncher. He's the pugilist.
Right.
That's how he solves things. But he needs to he's the fighter and he's the Catholic.